What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Accolonn here, and as always, joined by Mr. Rurikhan, not swearing in the first 7 seconds of today's video, because this is my intro to the Mythic Banter. And that means that there will be no swearing.
I think that you're just bowing down to our corporate overlords, and you're just not gonna swear because the corporate overlords. That's what's happening. You're letting big YouTube control you.
Yeah, well, the genuine thing is, I've completely stopped swearing. Like, I don't swear in general ever.
Wait, I'm curious. Does "damn" count as a swear?
I don't really. I know I wouldn't count it as a swear, but then again, I don't I don't swear because I'm like trying to be holy or try to stop swearing. It's sort of, as I became Christian, that just sort of fell away.
Should expand your vocabulary.
Yeah.
Expand the vocabulary, bro.
For me, it's just sort of naturally happened. I don't mind when people swear. Like, I have a lot of friends, you included, that swear a lot, and I'm fine with that, right? I'm not really one of those people that go out of my way. I just don't do it. It's like, I don't know why. Because I used to. I mean, you remember how I was before. I would swear a lot, right? But yeah,
you would try to put swear words where they just wouldn't even make any sense, like good old Bobby. Good old Bobby would just get the C word every time.
I'd build my own words just to make them more sweary. Yeah. But yeah, that's just completely gone away. So no swearing in the first 7 seconds, but I'm sure there'll be a lot of swearing throughout this video.
Oh, there's going to be some swearing.
Yeah. I always have to go, when you're writing videos, because you have to, in order to get the video up, right? You have to write it for YouTube.
Yeah.
On all of my videos, right? I just go right to the bottom, none of the above, and just go on, right? On our videos, I have to go right. So there was swearing. I have to take that. There was controversial topics. I have to take that.
Yep.
Maybe some hate and derogatory statements were made. I have to take that. Right? It's like I have to basically take almost all of those.
Okay, hate and derogatory. I don't think we go that far. Well,
the only reason
Ubisoft
I add
does get mentioned.
Yeah, but the only reason I add that is because I never know what actually constitutes hate and derogatory statements, because it really is in the eye of the beholder, right? I could sit here and say, well, that Frenchman is an asshole. And then YouTube might be like, oh, that's derogatory.
Well, the French.
Yeah, it is the French, right? It is warranted, I think. But, it is what it is. I'm not going to argue with them. But yeah, for example, there you go. I say also, I don't see that as a swear word. I think it's the big ones for me. But then again, I'm not English. We spoke about this last week. When you're not English, there's some words that just don't seem
funny
as
words.
harsh to you.
They're just funny words.
Yeah.
It's always weird to me to try to replace it with fudge. Fudge is such a weird, because fudge is delicious, bro. I don't want.
Yeah.
Replace a bad word with fudge. It's like, fudge is delicious. What do you mean?
I don't see the point of trying to replace swear words, because I think for me, it's not the word that's the problem. So I'm speaking obviously from a Christian perspective. It's not the word that's the problem.
It's the intent.
The intention of the word, right?
The intent behind the word.
If you're just replacing it with another word, you've not changed the intent. You're still intent to swear. You're just you're doing that thing where you do what you do with kids, where you spell out the word rather than say the word. Say, well, you're still saying it.
It's like the Merovingian said. He at least was like, "Oh, I love cursing in French. It's like wiping your ass with silk."
Dude, that's still one of the greatest scenes in the whole of The Matrix. Is that scene?
And then he goes on and he says a bunch of French cuss words.
Wow, what a movie, dude. What a movie.
Yeah,
the Matrix really was just insane. But okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have it's a full show in terms of a lot of topics, but most of the topics this week, outside of the first 2, 3 maybe, is rather short. It's short and sweet kind of topics, not that much going into it. The gaming industry really seems to be on a bit of an hiatus, where so many bad things have already happened. There's nothing left, right? It's all just burning now. There's nothing else to do but wait for more burning, I guess. We'll see what happens, as time goes on. But thanks to the way the internet works, when the gaming industry goes on break, the YouTube content creators and the Twitch streamers decide it's our time to shine. Let's start making the news, We have some returning voices. We have some new voices in the YouTube conversation. It's lovely.
Phenomenal.
Yep.
Fantastic.
But okay, so on to the first topic, which is always the poll, as you guys know. 4 days ago, I asked you guys, are you for or against ID verification? And then, of course, I always linked a new episode for those of you that might not have seen it and YouTube didn't let you know. But okay, so 341 of you voted on this, which is amazing. Thank you so much for that. 4% was for ID verification. 74% were against ID verification. 18% said they're willing to debate, and 4% said show results. What was really interesting... Yeah.
I'm very concerned about these minorities that keep appearing in the polls, because like either there's some very dedicated trolls, which I'm hoping that's the case, or like there are some people that are just going like, yes, I want somebody else to control what I get to see on the internet because I can't do it for myself because I'm a little baby. And therefore, yes, I want, I want age verification and all of this stuff. And some people might say, well, but it's for the kids. And it's like, it's your responsibility as a parent to educate your children. It is not some random website on the internet's responsibility. Like, listen, I know it's a struggle, okay? I have 2 kids. I struggle with this on a daily basis. Just to give you guys an idea, just yesterday, my 10-year-old son comes to me, especially because he knows what I do, right? So he goes like, oh, Dad, I want to have a YouTube channel. And I'm just like, no, it's not going to happen. It's like, but I already have the videos made. And it's like, no, it's not going to happen. And then I had to like try and explain to him, which he didn't understand, but I tried to explain to him like, listen, you need to understand some of the comments people will leave on your channel will absolutely destroy you. And and he's like, no, it's fine. I don't care about the comments. Like, no. I know exactly how this works because even me on my 43 years old, like I will read a comment, that shit will sit in my head for like a week. Oh yeah, easy.
Like the negative comment does stick, right? There's just nothing you can do about it.
It just sticks. It 100% sticks. And so therefore I was trying to explain to him, but he just wouldn't understand. But that's a conversation that you need to have with your kids. You can't just be like, oh no, I'm just going to outsource my kids' education to some government organization or to YouTube to figure out whether or not, no. You have to do that work, regardless if they implement ID verifications or whatever. You still have to do that work. So stop outsourcing your responsibility to somebody else and stop it with this content ID. Not content ID, sorry. This ID verification nonsense. Yeah.
I think a lot of the people who voted for may actually be in the camp of willing to debate, even though that's not how they rate willing to debate. Because if I go through the comments, there's a number of comments that actually kind of speaks to this. They're okay with ID verification. Someone in comments, for example, said they think ID verification for actual literal porn sites makes sense. Which, okay, we can have a debate about that, right? We can start to talk about that. I remember, I don't know how it is nowadays, but I remember back in my porn addiction days, you could watch any porn video without even having an account. Like, you literally go to the site, and all you have to do is click the I agree pop-up, and you can watch whatever you want, right? No account needed. I've never had a porn account in my entire life, and I could watch all the porn videos I want. I think that is a little problematic, right? Because there are multiple ways around sort of parental restrictions. Obviously, when your child is really young, they won't know these things, but when a child gets to like 13, 14, they'll figure out how to get past any sort of parental controls that you can put up. And
you mean I can just say I'm 13 years old?
Yeah.
And it works?
Yeah.
Right? I can just say I'm 18 and it works?
Yeah, you just crazy. Agree, right? So in
just lie.
Case, I do think that companies specifically should take responsibility and say, look, you can't watch any of our videos unless you have an account and unless you're subbed in, right? Will that cost them millions of dollars? Absolutely. But
you know that the issue with that is that there's a huge issue with that, which is the dodgy nature of a lot of the advertisers on these types of websites and just dodgy nature of most of the things that happens on these websites in general.
Yeah.
So it's like you actually don't want to give them your data, because if you think that Google is shady,
No,
like
100%, right? 100%.
Yeah. So that's it. So they will absolutely just lose a ton of customers if they do that.
But I do need to say, right? So I'm sort of playing devil's advocate at the moment, right? Because I think even if you were to do that, just like you said now, you'd lose millions of customers.
Yeah.
And you'll just have other sites pop up that still illegally sell the same stuff. The problem with porn sites, even something as big as Pornhub, they're filled. We know that they're filled with child porn and all sorts of stuff that should not be on there. They're consistently in the sort of framework and mind's eye of everyone with shady crap that happens there. There's been documentaries linking them to things like human trafficking. It is disgusting, and the practices themselves are absolutely abysmal on these sites. The thing is, and Elder Gamer X actually in the comments put it most succinctly. The problem with something like this is it doesn't actually accomplish the goal. It just becomes a nuisance and a way for more companies to collect more data that they can sell, lose.
Exactly.
Kids who really want to access this stuff will find a way around these checks. I think
absolutely.
I think what we need instead is
we actually talked about some of the creative ways that kids were getting around this, which they were like using faces from Gmod, and they were using the face of Norman Reedus from Death Stranding. Like, kids are getting, they're just like, don't worry about Norman Reedus got my back. If nobody's got my back, Norman Reedus got my back.
Yep. I mean, the thing is, I think what you need instead is companies and sites need to provide more tools for parents to protect their children, right? That, I think, is something that we can actually have a conversation about.
Parental tools, I would agree with. Yes, that would be very, very useful, so that I could like see, from my account, that might already be implemented. It's just I just control what he is seeing directly. I just look, okay, what are you seeing right now? Okay. You're watching some Brazilian video that's edited with 1,000 cuts per second. Yeah. Fine. That's totally not going to absolutely destroy your cortex. Yeah, just keep watching that. Sure.
Yeah. No, I think more parental controls, stronger parental sort of advisory restrictions. In other words, give parents full control over what their kids are seeing. And maybe this is a wonderful place for AI to actually step in and help. Right? If your kids were watching YouTube and the AI thinks that your kid may have watched videos that you as a parent told
it would give you
system,
a warning.
It will tell you, your kid just watched this video that may potentially be against what you want your kid to see. Right? And now you can sort of take action and say, look, I don't want my kid to be seeing this. Remove that, and the AI can help you do that. So I'm all for parents having more control. I think whenever you get into ID verification, you're getting into a sort of thing. It's sort of the same argument I make for drugs, right? Should drugs be legal or illegal? And I'm talking hard drugs, right? So people will say, no.
They should absolutely all be illegal. Yeah, fuck them. Yeah, everything legal.
My thing is just that just because you say something is illegal doesn't stop it, right? Like
it just creates
drugs are
black
illegal
markets.
In prison. Prison, a place where famously you're not supposed to be able to get in or out, right? They're completely walled off with guards and shit. And the most drugs you'll ever find is inside prison. Like, there's nowhere else on earth where you'll be able to get more drugs than inside a prison. So if you can't even stop it there, how the hell are you going to stop it on a countrywide basis, right? It's impossible.
It's like every time you come up with these bans, you're just creating alternate markets. Basically, that's the way that it goes. So as far as I'm concerned, everything should be legal. Yeah, you want to go ahead and buy like fucking crack cocaine. At least this way, it will be like regulated in terms of its purity instead of it being filled with powder.
With foot powder and shit, just straight up
laced with foot powder.
Like, cleaning liquid and shit. I think you also then eliminate the black market, which is oftentimes very much associated with violence.
Exactly.
Right? Lots of violence, lots of illegal stuff happening, and obviously those empires grow. So I personally think just make it legal, no ID verification, give parents more control, and maybe more warning. right? So if someone signs up
Yeah.
to YouTube, YouTube should say, hey, are you a parent? Quickly read through this. And then warn a parent. Say to a parent, listen here, don't let your kid that is 8 or 9 watch videos on your account, because there are content on YouTube that just slips through the cracks that we can't control, and it might not be good for your kid to watch. Instead, make an account for your child on YouTube Kids where they can watch YouTube, and you can control what they see and what they don't see. Things like that, I think, is great, right? Providing parents with a bit of a warning.
Yeah, it's just always interesting to me how a lot of the people arguing in favor of this are just like, well, it's for the kids. And it's like, if you need ID verification to ensure that your kid is not watching certain things on YouTube, you've already failed as a parent. You failed.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, you failed. It is what it is. Because like a lot of these people, what they want to do, and this is stuff that you see every day. If you just like, if you go out into a restaurant or something, like they just pacify these kids with a fucking cell phone. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
They're just absolutely pacified. And let me tell you something. And people are like, well, what people do with their children is their own fucking business, right? What you don't understand is that ultimately we end up living in a society, and every wrong thing that another parent does for their kid is something that us, the other parents, no, but it's something that the parents that are trying to do it right, we're going to have to fucking deal with it. Like, for instance, my 10-year-old constantly telling me, Dad, why can't I have a smartphone? It's like, because you're fucking 10.
Yeah.
It's like, well, all my friends have it. It's like, yeah, because their parents are dumb. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, 10-year-olds shouldn't have fucking smartphones. But if you want to give them a dumb phone, like one of the phones that they can just like do basic calls and shit, fine, whatever. But don't give your 10-year-old a smartphone and then just trust them to self-regulate. It's not going to happen. And it's going to make it worse for everybody else.
But I actually think this is where someone like Jonathan Haidt, who has done a lot of research on this, wrote books on this, they actually worked with high schools in America where they got the schools to, because they found the same thing. If parents just tell their kids straight up, you're not allowed to have a phone, the kid becomes a social pariah, right? Because they're the only one that doesn't have a phone and everyone else has a phone. But then they went to the schools and they made the schools ban phones. So the school basically said, you bring your phone to school, it has to go into your locker, and you can only take it out of your locker at the end of the day. What they found within a month of doing this is the kids were happier, the kids were playing again, the kids were willing to make more mistakes because there was no fear of ending up on the front page of YouTube, making a complete ass out of yourself. They just saw across the board great things happening to kids if you ban the cell phones in school, right? So the kids can just be kids again. And I think there's maybe a cutoff to that. Maybe once a kid hits the age of 18, that's a different story, right? Once they go off to college, colleges are not supposed to tell them.
I think 16 is fine. 16,
the only
15,
reason
I think you're fine.
The only reason I'm saying it's probably still not fine is most, in South Africa at least, 16 to 18, you're still going to school with everyone else, right? Like everyone else is still in the same school as you. I don't know. I think in America it's different because they have middle school and then they have high school, which is like, I think from 16 you go to high school, which is a different building. But in South Africa, it's from age 13 or 14 to age 18, all in the same school. So the kids are still going to end up on the front page, right? When they do something silly. Whereas I think that's probably the better way to do it, right? Just ban these phones. But then, you are absolutely correct, right? If you need ID verification, here's the thing. If someone in the comment section can give me actual verifiable evidence that it would protect kids, I'll change my mind immediately because I am all for the protection of children. But as far as I can tell, I don't see how ID verification protects children. I just don't. All I see it as is a potential way for the government to take control of things. And it took me a while to get here. Last week, if you guys remember, I was a little bit more I can see why they want to do it. I was a little bit more open to the idea. But then, as I always do with all things, I go and I think about it. Right? And I research and I try to think, okay. And my landing at the moment is I don't agree because I think it's just going to make the government, at least not even the government, it's going to give companies that I genuinely don't want to have my ID be with those companies now have access to my ID. right? And obviously, I don't want to be called next time by some advertiser that now has my entire ID and history.
You mean like it's happened, I think, on every single episode for like the last 6 episodes or so?
Yep.
Like somebody else.
Yep. Dude, here is how much these things don't work. So in South Africa, we have a thing called the Poppy Act, right? Which is literally companies.
It sounds like a drug.
Well, companies, the Poppy Act stands for something. I can't remember what it is, right? But effectively, it means that companies is not allowed. They're not allowed under any circumstance to sell your data to anyone else. Companies sell our data to everyone else.
They do not care. They do not care.
Yeah, just everywhere. Get as much data as you want. No one cares, right? So yeah, fundamentally, these things don't work. Government controls never work. If anything, we should equip parents. But I do think that will also change. I think people my age and people younger, people now in their late 20s, early 30s, starting to become parents, they're going to be a lot better equipped because they grew up with the internet, right? So they know what the internet is like. I feel sorry for people like my father, right? The world changed so fast, right?
Yeah.
And he has no idea about half of this stuff. Like, I'll just get WhatsApp messages from him from obviously fake AI shit, right? Where he's like, can you believe they did this? I'm like, no, I can't believe they did this because they didn't do that. You know?
Because they didn't. Yeah, yeah.
Now, luckily, my dad is the kind of guy where he will actually go research it. He sends it to me, but then he will research it himself, and then he'll come back to me and be like, oh, no, that's just fake, right? So he is
He's like, oh, yeah, that thing I told you, I told you like 3 hours ago, that was actually a fake, son. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I couldn't figure it out, Dad. Thanks for letting me know.
You know, so he's actually inquisitive in that way, but there's plenty of people who aren't, right? Most people just see a headline and they go with it. So I feel sorry for old people who just don't. There's a guy at my church that does the same thing. Bless his heart, he's such a cool guy, but he's in his 80s, you know, and he'll share these videos that you can so obviously tell it's fake, right? But he believes it. He's firmly on the side. Yeah, this is absolutely what happened. And then I'm always stuck having to explain to him, no, his uncle in Afrikaans. This didn't happen. Let me explain to you what actually happened here. You know, so it's nice because he does listen, right? So he's not like, oh, I saw it and now I believe it. But it's just like the world changed.
You're just trying to hide it from me.
Yeah, the world changed so fast that most older people are lost. They don't know what's happening. So I do think it's going to get better. Although young people nowadays aren't having children anymore, so we would probably not even have to worry about that.
We're all gonna die out.
Yeah,
we're all gonna die out.
You know,
listen, I've done my share for humanity's survival. Okay,
no, you have children. Not. You have to have 3 because every parent needs to have at least 2.5, right? And since no one else is having 2.5, you need to have 3.
When my government decides to pay me like a living wage for doing fuck all, then I'll go and I'll have another kid. Okay, but until then, I'm fine with 2. Thank you. To give you an idea,
like if everyone had 2, that would be decent, right? At least
I haven't been able to get anything done for the last 2 days.
Yeah.
Because basically I just wanted them to do like some schoolwork because they haven't done almost any schoolwork. Wow. So yesterday and the day before was me trying to get them to do schoolwork.
All right.
And this is probably why my beard is even wider than it was last week because you know, it's not stressful at all to try and get kids to do schoolwork during fucking summer break. So, yeah.
No, I can imagine. I don't think we're going to die out, right? So I think right now we're living through a period where no one's having children, but when things really get tough, people will just start having children again. It's biological. We will just get back.
I don't know about that, bro.
Think about when did humanity have the most children ever? It was during some of the hottest times ever, right? Like during the Great Depression,
you need to understand. The reason humanity had those children is because man, I ain't got nothing to do. Might as well fuck.
I don't necessarily.
And nowadays, people have tons of stuff to do, so they don't have to just like.
I don't think
I
so,
don't know,
because
man.
that's a very biologically like underwritten thing, right? So even if you have lots to do, that's going to be one of the things you want to do.
Yeah, but people
But I
people
do
have been
also,
satisfying the biological by just fapping.
yeah, I'm not sure it will actually
A
replace
lot
it.
of people a lot of people have replaced sex with masturbation. Absolutely. It
Yeah,
has happened for a lot of people.
but I think there's
And let me
more
tell you
to it,
guys, you're
right?
missing out. You're missing
But
out.
I just want to say I think there's more to it, right? Um, I think we are in a particularly precarious position right now where there are some elements of our society that's trying to start some kind of gender war between men and women that I don't think exists, nor do I think should exist. I think we're also living through a
Yeah.
period of time where the economy has gotten insane, right? I was watching,
Yeah,
at the risk of
it's
turning
really
this
bad.
into a massive political conversation, which I promise we won't be
Oh
doing.
no.
But I was watching a podcast from Robert Werner, who he wrote the book on the Japanese sort of heyday when their economy was seemingly just unstoppable. Right, early 90s, the Japanese are just growing and growing and growing, and as it turns out, um, the current system that we're living under is a direct result of very, very bad banking practices, right? Which they
Yeah.
identified already in Japan.
I mean, I don't think that's controversial. I completely agree with that. Yeah, it's like banks are the ones who fucked us and put us where we are.
Well,
100%. Yes,
he he
that
ex-
is where the responsibility lies.
he explains it as follows, and I won't be able to go into everything because it's a long
Yeah,
podcast
of
that his
course.
book is even longer. But he effectively explains it as such: when banks lend money for cars and homes and personal items, you get inflation, right? And it makes so much sense when you logically think about it. Right now, when someone buys a house, they buy that house expecting that the house will get more expensive over time, right? Because your investment has to grow and
Yeah.
whatever. But now think about it. If all investments in housing continues to grow over time, eventually there'll be a generation that can just not afford all this growth in housing over time, right?
That's where we are.
Yeah, that's exactly where we are. But the truth is, it makes no sense. The whole point of your house growing in value over time is you built it 30 years ago. Now you've owned it for 30 years. Now it's more expensive. But the problem is the house right next door that was built yesterday is the same price as your house that was built 30 years ago, because
Yep.
it's built right next to your house and the whole neighborhood is leveled up and so on and so forth. So the whole problem is because we buy assets like houses thinking that they must always go up in price, eventually they just become so expensive that it leads to asset inflation. So his argument is effectively banks should not be lending money for homes or for cars or for anything of that nature, because
Okay.
it's twofold.
I'm
The
not
one is the housing prices will come down sharply, right? Like there will be a sharp decline in housing prices because suddenly home developers can no longer say, well, I'll charge 500,000 euro because they can just lend it from the bank. Now the developer has to think to themselves, how much can this person
they have to
pay?
actually charge a reasonable
Yeah.
price for that somebody can pay.
Yeah, because I can't go to the bank and say, give me money. The bank's just going to know.
The logic seems sound, but I often find that economical issues are way more complex than that. So I'm not.
As I said, he goes into
Yeah.
the actual mathematics of it, right? Explaining the math behind all of this. Instead, he says what banks should be doing, and there should be way more banks. You should have more community banks, but these banks should be lending on businesses, right? You want to open a business, go borrow money, because in that way, it doesn't lead to inflation because that business is going to add to the economy, right? It's going to make its own money so that it can go into circulation and so on and so forth. So that's sort of his approach to it. But it would take us 2 hours just to get into all the nitty gritties of it. It was just an interesting conversation to hear that sort of side of it, because you almost never hear that, right? Everyone just always tells you buy houses. And it's like, well, I'd love to, but I'm not a millionaire, right? And you're telling me I have to buy a house in order to become a millionaire, so I'm screwed. Like, what am I supposed to do?
It's one big club, and you're not in it.
They threw away the key, and They lock the door and then bolt over the door so that you don't even know where the door is. It's like, where's the club? It's camouflaged. There's camo.
Can't see it. It's too hard.
It's absolutely insane. But okay. Anyways, wow, we just did half an hour of talking about everything but video games.
I blame you for this.
Yeah, well, I'll take the blame for that. It was still a fun conversation. But now we have to get into actual conversations.
So I don't know what this is about yet, because like I said, I've been busy the last 2 days, and on Monday I finished Wu Chang, so I've been just like going hard on Wu Chang, so I haven't been following the drama. And also I'm just kind of like, leave this man alone. But people are just like, no, we gotta just like, he has to go down.
I think.
Oh wait, so, did you know that Meat Canyon made a video on him? I watched that. Meat Canyon. So he makes like these really like this very unique art style that this dude has, and it was a video where the whole topic. This, by the way, we're talking about Pirate Software in case people don't know, but like the whole point of the video was that Pirate Software will never say that he's sorry. So first of all, he starts the video. And he's in his streaming room and whatever, and he's talking. And then at a certain point in the video, it's like, you're not even streaming right now. And he was still talking like if he was streaming, right?
Oh yeah.
And it's like, well, I'm just practicing. So it's like, so he wouldn't admit that he made a mistake, right? And he's like, so anyway, I saw this woman and she was breastfeeding a baby and she was doing it wrong. And so I tried telling her how to. It's like one of the most arrogant things ever, like a man trying to teach a woman how to breastfeed a baby. No, I think it is like, it goes on to the very graphic thing of him putting like his own breast in his mouth and sucking.
Oh man. Like
okay. But anyways, and then the story turns out the lady was a gypsy. And so she put a curse on him.
Oh, wow.
And so basically throughout the video, his legs bend forward and then they just start growing up until the point where it's like both feet are in his mouth and he just still refuses to
man. Yeah.
It's like the one thing that would stop the curse would be like, just admit you're wrong. And he's like, well, I would admit I'm wrong if. And then just feet just go into his mouth and it just becomes like this nasty, disgusting thing. Wow. I was like, God damn, dude, why? Ugh.
But he's not wrong, right? This entire Pirate Software thing could have been avoided 100% if he just admitted he was wrong. It's as simple as that, right?
But he's not going to bow down to the internet mob.
No.
Like, why would you? It's a mob. I wasn't wrong.
But
it's just a mob.
It turns out, and this is where today's topic comes from, Quinthio is the channel that I discovered that did an interview with the ex-roommate of Pirate Software. And it actually turns out, because she worked with Pirate Software at Blizzard, she was considered his wrangler, right? Because when he joined the company, he's called Hall, his surname is Hall, and her surname is Hall as well. But they're not related. But they thought that they were related. And so Blizzard put her in charge, her superiors put her in charge of him because they were hoping that she could get him to start doing his job. Because as it turns out, when he was at Blizzard, he wasn't doing his job. Like she says, she was sitting here and he was sitting right in front of her. And they would be working in QA. They would be looking for bugs and stuff. And he would basically log into the client and then just sit and browse Reddit all day. He wouldn't even play. He'd just sit and browse Reddit. And then eventually...
That sounds like something he'd do.
Yeah. And then eventually, he came up with this genius idea where he'll just build a bunch of bots and just have the bots test the exploits. Like, that's all he would do. And he was the one who effectively... He has this famous story where he claims that he was so good at his job that Blizzard asked him to set up his own sort of anti-hacking department inside Blizzard that he ran. Turns out he asked to do that. Like, they didn't want to do that. And she says also calling it anti-hacking is a little grandiose.
I think, I think that a lot of people nowadays, like when I was growing up, I always had this idea of what hacking is. And let me tell you, my idea of what hacking is and like what constitutes hacking
Yeah.
is very different from what most people constitute hacking nowadays.
Yeah.
Hacking is exploiting proper vulnerabilities to gain access to information you're not supposed to have.
Yeah.
Nowadays, people are like, well, if I call somebody and I get them to give me their login details, that's hacking. They call it social hacking. It's like, no, that's fucking scamming. You're able to just scam somebody. You still gained access to the information, but you didn't use any like actual hacking techniques, like any code, any malicious code, anything like that. You didn't do any of that. So it's like, whatever.
She effectively says that the only thing he did was he officially used bots to find exploits in WoW. Actually, in Diablo, because that's where he was working. And
which one of the Diablos? Diablo 3, I assume?
Yeah, Diablo 3. And she says, the problem there was they were already all doing that. All of the QA testers were already doing that. Like, they would have bots that would test certain exploits, because if someone reports a bug, right, and they say, oh, if I'm running here, I get stuck. You, as the QA tester, can physically run there, right, and get stuck until you get stuck. Or you take like 100 bots and you just make them run from every angle constantly until one gets stuck. And then you go, oh, here's the problem, right? So they were already doing it. But here's the big thing. He made a video, and this guy, what's really nice about his video is he actually shows what Thor says, and then he shows what's the truth. Thor states that the first time he got his job at Blizzard, it was absolute nepotism. He admits that, right?
Yes.
His dad got him the job. But then when he came back the second time, Blizzard effectively reached out to him. Like, he had gotten so good that now Blizzard wanted him to work there. And she makes the claim, she says, this is absolutely untrue. So he applied for the job, Blizzard took him back, but it still had to do with nepotism. And she actually explains how nepotism works in these big companies. She says after a couple of months of him effectively doing no work, and their department, their team is falling behind because he's doing nothing, she went to her superiors and she was like, listen here, I want to write him up. He's not doing his job. And she was told in no uncertain terms, you will not find a single person in this company that will write up the son of an executive. That will never happen. And she was like, but why not? And they said, well, if you do that, future companies aren't going to see why you wrote him up. They're just going to see that you are the one that wrote up the son of an executive. Your future is over if you do that. So I'm not doing it. No one else here will do it. Thor can do whatever the hell he wants. Like, just let him do what he wants. It doesn't matter. Just work around it. And that's literally how he got the department as well. Was just he asked, and since no one wants to say no, and she does actually make the claim, or she makes it very pertinent, his dad is absolutely not the kind of person that would have protected him. Like, his dad is actually a really good guy. She says, if you know his dad, he would absolutely have not protected him.
He put him on blast about the whole birthday thing. It's like, you didn't call me on my birthday.
Yeah, he's
and he's like, yes, I did. I absolutely did. I'm never wrong.
Yeah, and the problem is, but this is sort of one part of it. Then the next part is, she desperately needed a roommate. He desperately needed a place to stay. This was like 2 weeks into him actually working at Blizzard, so before she knew about all this stuff. And she went to him and she was like, hey, I heard that you need a place to stay. I have an extra room. Would you like to rent it? Right? She first asked around whether he's a good guy or not, and most people said, yeah, he's fine. And she says, well, the one thing she does say is that the personality that you see, the nice guy, he is actually quite nice. He's very jovial, very friendly to everyone, but he does have a dark side. Okay. So he has this side where he will scream at people when he gets frustrated, when he gets angry. She tells this one story where every year Blizzard would have this charity event, where all of the Blizzard people would play for 24 hours to basically raise money for a children's hospital in California. And during this...
You would get competitive over that?
Yeah, well, during this one year, for 24 hours, they're playing League of Legends. And she says it's early morning. They've been awake for 20 hours. So they're sucking, right? They're not playing well. And he just starts screaming at them for being terrible and not building correctly and not gearing correctly. And they're assholes and they don't know how to play. And they're all just like, dude, this is for charity. Like, holy shit. We're not professionals. We're just playing for fun. Like, holy crap. Just chill out, you know?
I'm laughing because I remember very, very similar situations in League of Legends back when I was with TGN. I distinctly remember somebody who is now my good friend Hengis, when he was much, much younger.
Yeah,
he would have like these rage fits. Oh, so mad. Now he's like one of the chillest people you will meet in your life, and like he was actually my boss for a while I was at TGN.
Nice.
And like he's just like the chillest guy in the world. Fantastic person to speak to. Yeah. But like back then, League of Legends brought out that bad side of him.
No, it absolutely does. But apparently, he was also
like there was this one time specifically I remember where he made the worst play possible. Like he went in super deep without any backup, and there's like, you guys fucking suck. It's so bad. It's just like, what do you mean? You made a bad play, bro. Shut up. And he was just like raging.
But I mean, League can bring out the worst in you. But apparently, when he now finally lived with her, so before he moves in, he's like, so I have a cat. And she's like, yeah, no problem. Is the cat non-destructive? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. The cat is absolutely awesome. And she's like, I love cats. So yeah, sure. Match made in heaven, because she knew his girlfriend at the time, Nicole, and she and Nicole actually got along really well. Nicole would ultimately become his ex-wife, or his wife, and then his ex-wife. But moving in, he would scream and rage constantly on EVE Online, on the people on EVE Online, the people that he was playing with. So he started to see
that's another one,
that side of him. And then when the cat finally destroyed her couch, like absolutely destroyed it. She said it was a leather couch, or one of those fake-ish leather couches. The cat scratched that thing to shit. And he was like, yeah, I'll tape it for you. And she's like, dude, what the hell are you talking about? Tape it? Yeah, like your cat destroyed it. And then he gaslit her into going, no, my cat didn't. But you can see the claw mark. You can see it's destroyed. And he's like, no, my cat didn't do that.
It was like that when it was like that when I got here. What do you mean?
Yeah, so he was already gaslighting and lying and refusing to take any responsibility back then already, right? And as this roommate, if what she says is true, because that should be prefaced, if what she says is true, then it sounds like he just never changed. It genuinely sounds like he's, and definitely the next story will be the one that just further proves to me that I might not be completely way off base. I am convinced that 95% of all of the big streamers and YouTubers are people that just have zero empathy, sympathy, moral compass. They are just sociopaths. People who are willing to do anything for fame, right? Like, if they can get famous, they'll take any approach they can. You start to put this stuff together with his game, that's been, in early access for how many years now? And Hotbound.
It's been a hot minute, yeah.
Yeah, and there's still no new chapters. He's doing absolutely nothing with that game because he found a way to be famous and rich.
Streaming, yeah. And streaming just brings in more revenue, I would assume. Streaming brings in way more revenue. I always thought it was weird when I first saw his shorts, and I was like, so wait, where does he find the time to code this game and then do all of this content? Because I know how much time it takes to create the amount of content that he's creating.
Yeah.
Even if he has an editor, like because you still have to make the content, you just have somebody edit it. And it's like, there's no way you're coding a game.
No.
Like really coding a game while you're doing all this. Like there's just no way, dude. And I would go onto his streams every now and then because I'd be curious, and he'd be just like playing another random video game, and I was like, I don't get it. Like, you either are coding your game or your stream. You're not going to be doing both at the level that you're doing it.
No,
damn sure.
but yeah. He has this whole persona where he's this god tier coder that codes live, because that's the whole point, right? He always streams in the dev section, which is where people code while they're streaming. That's the whole point. But as you see with some of the videos that exposes him, no one has ever actually seen him code on stream. Like, he never codes live. He's just, I think personally, he was looking for a way to become rich. And he was trying multiple ways. Games is one way, because if you release a great game, that will be overnight super rich, right? Take someone like Mana Lord's creator, right? This is one guy that created Mana Lords. He's probably swimming in cash right now. So one game will absolutely make you super rich. Or streaming and making money that way. And that also made him super rich. And once he got the super rich part down, he's like, well, I don't need this other part. I just wanted this part. Like, this did it for me. We're good, right? But now you're too deep in. You've pretended to be something that you're obviously not. And I'm not saying he's a bad coder. I just don't think he's the god tier coder that he thinks he is. And he genuinely doesn't seem to be a good person. So my suggestion to him would be, take some time, come back with an apology, and then start over, bro. Like, that's all.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
No, probably not.
Because right now it's reached the point where even if he does apologize, like everybody, like he's become a source of content.
Yeah.
And he's going to remain being a source of content. There's not much that you can do to stop it now.
But this is where I sort of think what you need to do is you just completely disappear. Right? You just take a year, go away, go do other things, and then come back and then apologize and be like, guys, I've grown, I've done whatever,
Yeah, but you do need to get out of the public space.
Yeah. You have to take a step back so that people can get over their anger, because people are righteously angry about this guy. He lied and he made stuff up, which is just absolutely not going to fly, right? But that brings us neatly into our next story, which is actually...
So this one I know nothing about.
Okay, so everyone here knows some ordinary gamers, right?
Yes.
Mutahar, probably one of the nicest guys on the internet. He makes a lot of videos, pretty much a video a day. And he speaks from a place of authority. When he speaks about coding, he's famously gone after Elon Musk, saying Elon Musk doesn't know what he's talking about because he's a software engineer and he knows what is up with all of this stuff. Well, turns out some people like Harmful Opinions, started to research him a little bit. People like Nicandros started to research him a little bit. And they basically went through the entire history of his channel. They started to notice.
I don't know how people find the time to do those things. I just have to point that out. I don't know where you guys find the time. I'm just going to go through this dude's whole
yeah.
I wish I could do that. Fucking hell. There's so many times that I'll see somebody say something, I'm like, wait, that's wrong. I wish I had the time to go and look at stuff that you've said before.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to.
So the timeline is insane, by the way. The timeline, according to Mutahar, right? I'm literally looking at a thing here. The timeline, right? There's a note to the creators here. If you use this resource to make a video of your own, you're using research I've done. And if you don't make it clear, you're using my work. You're presenting it as your own. That is known as plagiarism. So I want people to know that I'm using Nicandros' timeline here, right?
Okay.
But 2014, February the 13th, and they have the YouTube link here, Mutahar worked as a programmer. Mutahar studied programming in university for a while. June 24, 2014, YouTube stuff made Mutahar change his career path. Mutahar was depressed before doing YouTube. Then 2015, February the 2nd, before doing YouTube, Mutahar coded bank applications the whole time. That would be before 2012. Mutahar thought coding bank applications was boring. Cutting stuff for film and TV was his dream. March 3rd, 2015, Mutahar is a video engineer. Mutahar worked as an engineer. March 14, he's now a video editor. August 14 mentioned his film degree. August 18, Mutahar worked in film and TV before he had a fancy degree. Mutahar claims to be qualified for computer forensics. YouTube is not Mutahar's job. This is the first time Mutahar says it's not his job. Then August 21st, we're still in 2015, by the way. August 21st, Mutahar mentions having become an engineer. August 24th, Mutahar works as a video editor, mentions being an engineer before going to the video editing route, mentions being an engineer again, claims to have an engineering background, right?
There's just one thing that I always thought was weird, is whenever Mutahar says, YouTube's not my actual job. I was like, damn, how do you work and make this amount of videos? Because I don't even think Mutahar has an editor. Like, he does everything himself, is my understanding. Yeah. So I'm like, I've always been impressed by, like, you're either one very productive person or I don't know, bro, because even for the amount of videos that I do, but I'm also older than Mutahar at this point. Yeah. But even for the amount of videos and live streams that I do, I would not be able to do, a normal job and put in all the time that I do into, reaching out and creating videos and uploading and doing thumbnails and all of this. I can't, bro, it's too much.
No, but this is exactly right. So August 29th, Mutahar worked in cybersecurity. Mutahar is a video editor again, so literally just videos contradicting itself. September 7th, Mutahar mentions being an engineer. Mutahar recalls back to his programming days. Then September 19th, Mutahar worked as a pen tester while finishing his high school diploma. He was depressed, wanted to make videos, was the happiest he's been since 2012 making YouTube videos. Did not enjoy the job he had at the time. Mutahar doing YouTube to treat depression instead of medication. Mutahar called his channel Some Ordinary Gamers because he saw creators getting way too egotistical. Then October 16th, Mutahar used to do cybersecurity work before YouTube. October 31, he's a video editor again. Then 2016, Mutahar made really small, crappy game mods as a kid. So effectively, I'm not going to go through the whole timeline because he does go up until today. He shows you how Mutahar was 18 years old in 2012. According to Mutahar, before he started his YouTube channel in 2014, he had like 5 different jobs. He had degrees in multiple different things. And the point here is, Mutahar lives in Ontario, Canada, where calling yourself an engineer, if you are not an engineer, is literally illegal.
Is it illegal?
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's against the law, right?
Ooh.
Yep. Then they find, right, according to this video, Nicandros, they find that Mutahar has quietly, he hasn't made a video since all of this came out, right? A few days ago, Mutahar has refused to upload anything. And this from a man who always uploaded every single day, right? He's now quietly started to private all of the videos in which he uses the word engineer.
He apparently uploaded a video 10 hours ago, by the way.
That's new then. I haven't seen that video yet.
And it's a half-hour video, so you're not going to be able to parse it. And he talks about, apparently it says here on Reddit that he addresses the engineering drama with a quick response at 2 minutes 45 seconds or whatever. But basically they say that he confirms he does not have a degree, as he never hid the fact that he was a dropout, and he thinks that his videos hold up great on their own, being able to inform his viewers. He also says he does not care if people take issue and stop watching him over this drama, and if legal issues do crop up because of this, he's just going to let lawyers take care of it, and he's just going to move on. So basically he's just like, fuck y'all, I don't care.
Yeah, he's playing it out, right? That's the whole point. Yeah. Now, I wouldn't mind that, right? Because technically speaking, sure, you can make your videos and your videos do hold up on their own. They're good videos, right? No one denies that. Even Nicandros and these guys making the videos against him, they do say when he talks about programming, it's clear he understands what he's talking about, right? It's not like he just doesn't know anything about coding. He clearly understands it, but he continuously called himself an engineer as a way to give himself authority. So that's sort of one of the ways in which people do it. It's the fallacy of appealing to authority. So in other words, I call myself an engineer. Now you can't question what I'm doing because I am the authority here. Right? And that's what a lot of people are thinking. Yeah?
I am an engineer.
Yeah, you're a computer science.
I'm not being facetious. Yeah, I have a computer science degree.
Yeah. In Ontario, by the way, you wouldn't be considered a computer engineer. Because a computer engineer would be a job description, not a degree.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So,
yeah,
but every country
I
is
just
different,
find I
right?
just find it funny. I just find it funny because at one point I got in trouble for
Mhm.
doing the exact opposite of what Mutahar is doing
Yeah.
because I was working on a company. I've done, as I've mentioned, I've done IT consulting. So I was working on a company as an IT consultant, and in Portugal, some people like when I mean I'm assuming it's not just a Portugal thing. A lot
Yeah.
of corpos, they're like, oh, we have ranks, but I knew like all of the people at this company, right? And so because of that, like nobody used my title. I never liked that. Right.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, that's going to kind of like separate us because I have a higher education. It's like, I don't care. You just call me by my name and that's it. And so at a certain point, we were in a meeting over something like super trivial. I don't even remember what it was about, but we were in a meeting.
Yeah.
And one of the people that I work with at that company just comes off and just uses my name regularly without the title.
All right.
And then when the meeting ends and we're all just like leaving, the guy who had one of the guys who was responsible for managing the company after the acquisition, he goes, is like, Ruri, actually he said my title, so I was like, engineer. And it's not, I don't think engineer is the right term. It's just in Portuguese, the word is engenheiro, because that's like what your title becomes when you have the degree, right?
Yeah.
And so he's like, Engineer Rui, we'd like a word. And I was like, okay. So I stay behind, and he's like, I couldn't help but notice that this person didn't address you with your title. Like, what is this absolute lack of respect? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I've been working with this person for years. Like, it's fine. Like, I don't want them to call me by my title. And it's like, no. This is unacceptable. We are going to make sure that everybody calls you by your title from now on. And I was like, you fucking... I just wanted to say, you're such a fucking idiot, bro. You're such a fucking moron, bro. God,
but it is
because
it's sort of that.
All that does is divide people. It just divides people. It's terrible. It's terrible for morale because, like, now these people I've worked with for years are actually forced by the higher ups to call my engineer. I was like, what the fuck, bro? Stop.
Yeah. But it's like,
and whenever nobody was around, I still said, don't fucking call me that. Like, fucking don't do it.
Yeah.
Dude. Fuck him, dude. Like, what the fuck?
No, I mean, my dad is a doctor, so I would.
Exactly.
We had a lot of doctor friends back in the day. And a lot of doctors would always introduce themselves as, I am Dr. So-and-so. My dad would just always be like, my name and this is it, right? It's only if people ask, what do you do, that he would say he's a medical doctor. So yeah, I always find it super
some of these
strange.
people are so insecure that they're like, no, you have to address me by my fucking title.
Oh yeah. But I mean, the whole point, right, is you're appealing to authority to make yourself seem like you know more than you do. And the problem is, in the videos, they actually show how he shifts the kind of engineer that he is to fit the topic that he's talking about, right? So if he just wants to talk about something, he'll say, I'm an engineer, okay? I know what I'm talking about here. So he'll leave it sort of open-ended, so people sort of think, oh, he must be an engineer that knows what this is, right? Like, clearly, if he's an engineer, he must be this kind of engineer because he knows what this is. So Mutahar effectively made a complete fool of himself. But then he went about, and they actually caught him privating a bunch of videos. Basically, every single video where he calls himself an engineer just suddenly disappears.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
That's not a good look.
No. Just suddenly starts to disappear. They claim, they think that he decided to also censor the word engineer in his comment section. So if you say anything about engineer...
I think he said in a video that he's done it.
Yeah, well...
I'm not sure, but I think he has, yeah.
They claim that he said he is censoring the word engineer, especially after all of this come out. But I will say, though, to Quinthio's credit, he actually offered a different sort of angle, and he said, well, what will happen on YouTube with auto moderation, if enough people say the same word over and over again, the YouTube auto mod will just censor the word, right? So if suddenly hundreds of people are starting to write engineer in your comment section, that word will just auto censor because YouTube will immediately think there's some targeted campaign.
I can't wait for the word shields up to be censored in my channel. Thanks, YouTube, for always looking out for me. Or praise the sun.
Yeah.
We wouldn't want that.
I think you can white word or whitelist certain words. So you could probably, get words to be whitelisted so YouTube won't do anything about it. But yeah, it's just another example coupled with what we discussed previously with pirate software, where I genuinely just don't understand, dude. Like there's these YouTubers out there who are willing to lie, right? Just straight up invent stuff as a way to seem more knowledgeable. Like, dude, you don't need to have a degree in order to be considered an expert in what you're talking about.
Yep.
If you actually know what you're talking about, and that doesn't mean you're not going to make mistakes, right? We all make mistakes. That does happen. But first, if you have the humility to admit when you're making a mistake.
When you make a mistake, you just apologize for it. Like, listen, it like I said, I think I've mentioned it in the previous podcast. It happened to me not that long ago.
Yeah.
Because I had this idea in my head. And there are a lot of things that kind of point to this, where there was a monster in Monster Hunter World that a lot of people in the community considered to be a wall. And I had this idea that I had either heard somebody from Capcom say that was the case, that a lot of people had quit when they got to that monster, or there were numbers backing it up. And, this is an idea that formed over years.
Yeah.
And turns out I was wrong. And somebody, there was this other guy who made a video, and he put on the video, it's like, hey, here's the actual numbers. Rurikhan's wrong. And I was like, hey, guys, I got it wrong.
Yeah.
Like, that was literally it. I was like, listen, no drama. I don't hate this person. He pointed this out. I got it wrong. It's that easy.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I did the same thing not too long ago. I think like a week or two ago.
It happens.
I made a video about my government. One of the ministers said something about the American tariffs and stuff, and I covered it because, so a little bit of backstory here. My government made this big hoo-ha about how they will not negotiate with Trump. Trump can go suck balls. They're just going to do what they do because we don't need America, despite the fact that we absolutely need America, right? Like,
I think you're fine, Echo. You're fine.
But anyways, right? So then for 3 months, my government does nothing, right? They don't send anyone to Washington to negotiate. The tariffs are coming up. The deadline is coming up. And then about 2 weeks before the deadline hits, my government goes, oh, shit. And suddenly they start scrambling, right? They're going to make
oopsie daisies.
They're going to negotiate now. And then they come up with this thing where they've signed a pre-deal deal with the Americans. And they make a big deal about how an actual deal is days away from being signed. I take the quotes, I read through the articles, and I'm like, oh, wow, it seems like we're actually going to get a deal made here. And then, right after I made the video, and luckily, things just didn't sit right with me. I continuously sort of obsessed over the pre-deal deal phrasing. I was like, what does that mean? And so I actually went and I read, because they do use in the article the actual, what it is, the official document in the US. And it turns out that document is literally just the US saying, sure, we'll negotiate. Like, the US isn't agreeing to shit. They're not saying yes to anything. They're just saying, sure, you can come talk to us. Effectively, that's it, right? So I made this whole video saying we're days away from a deal. According to the government, we don't have to worry. Tariffs are not going to be a thing. And so I had to make another video where I said, dudes, yeah, I screwed up. I completely misrepresented this. I missed it.
Boom.
What am I supposed to do, right? Mistakes happen as long as you can admit that was a mistake. And,
I actually saw a very relevant tweet that I retweeted from Josh Strife Hayes.
Yeah.
Where he said, fame and money don't really change, because everybody's like, oh, these people all got big and now they've changed. It's like, fame and money don't really change somebody. They just show you who they really are.
Yeah, they just amplify what is already there.
Yeah.
Right. And he's not wrong, because you can become an expert on something without having a degree, just by researching the thing really, really well. Right?
Absolutely.
Like, you don't have to have a degree. I find it particularly disgusting when someone like Mutahar uses his degree to give himself fake authority.
I thought he didn't have one. Does he have one or not?
Well, the way he spoke, because he says in the video he never claimed to have a degree, and he made it super clear that he doesn't have a degree. But then you watch the actual snippets from his videos, and he goes, as an engineer.
Yeah.
So what do you actually say, right?
I do sometimes say, and this was very important during it is very important during the Stop Killing Games campaign. I do often say, it's like, listen, I have an IT background. Okay.
Yeah.
This shit ain't that hard. And it's like, yeah, because I have coded some stuff in networking back in the day.
If you actually have,
not only that, but
like,
you don't even need that experience. You don't even need that experience to know that. It's just not as hard as a lot of people. It's just so hard. It's fucking impossible. You don't know. It's not. You're wrong. I'm sorry.
But
try again.
It's people using authority in order to give themselves more authority, because they know people don't want to listen to people that they don't think has authority, right? The reason some people are watching this podcast, I'm sure a lot of people are only watching because they like you, but the reason some people are watching this podcast is because they think, at least, maybe wrongly, that we have authority, at least in some of the things we discuss. Maybe not in all things. You can oftentimes see it when we dive into topics that, especially divisive topics, you'll have those people who just go, you don't know what you're talking about, right? Because you have not confirmed or established yourself as having or being an authority on that position, right? And that's fine. I'm not suddenly going to sit here and go, you know what, guys, as an economist, right? When I tell you something about the economy, you should listen to me, because I'm not an economist, right? I'm just someone that really likes economics and reads about it a lot, but I'm not an economist. So yes, that would be a quick and easy way. So guys, as someone who is an economist, because that does give me that authority to be able to say stuff, but that would be lying, right? Because I'm not an economist. I just happen to read a lot about economics. And that's what I find most disgusting about Mutahar's sort of whole shtick, was that. And then, of course, the fact that he doesn't really apologize for it, I think is going to backfire. I don't think it's going to work the way that he wants it to, especially since this came right after the Pirate Software stuff. So people are, I think the story is going to be a lot bigger. I'll go watch the video.
It's going to be rough.
Yeah, I'll watch his video on this to see what exactly he had to say. But I think there's going to be some stuff happening. Talking about lies, moving away finally from YouTuber drama and actually getting into gaming news now. Mastercard. They turns out, right? Okay, so I have to give you guys the full story here because it's important. So
listen. It turns out they're innocent. They did no such thing. They were, they were not the ones who were pressuring Steam and itch.io to do any of these things. And Valve was lying. Through their teeth. Absolutely. We all know it. Good old Gabe Newell, more like Gabe Liar. That's what's going on right now. He's just like, he's been manipulating everybody.
Here's the exact quote from Mastercard, right? Has not evaluated any game or required restrictions of any activity on game creator sites and platforms, contrary to media reports and allegations, the company wrote in a statement, right? Our payment network follows standards based on the rule of law. Put simply, we allow all lawful purchases on our network. At the same time, we require merchants to have appropriate controls to ensure Mastercard cards cannot be used for unlawful purchases, including illegal adult content. Guys, case closed.
Wait.
Gabe Newell's a liar.
By the way, there's
Steam are a bunch
one
of
more
scumbags.
thing.
Yeah.
One more thing.
Yeah.
In the official Mastercard website, they leave a media contact.
Ooh.
Which means you can contact this person.
Yes.
If you want to talk about this. I'm not going to say who it is. I'm not going to spread it. I'm just saying that in the official website,
there is. Yeah. So as we now know, it has been confirmed by big corporation, and we all know that big corporation means trustworthy. Steam is lying pieces of crap. Gabe Liar is just 100% a liar. And we can all rest easy because Mastercard is absolutely not banning anything.
No.
I'll read this. Okay. It's a tiny little thing. This is just the statement from Valve, the liars over at Steam.
Yes.
Right. This is their statement because in the interest of fairness, we have to read the liar statement. So Steam says the following.
Yeah.
Mastercard did not communicate with Valve directly, despite our request to do so. Valve statement sent over email to Kotaku reads, Mastercard communicated with payment processors and their acquiring banks. Payment processor communicated this with Valve, and we applied by outlining Steam's policy since 2018 of attempting to distribute games that are legal for distribution. Payment processors rejected this and specifically cited Mastercard's Rule 5.12.7 and risk to the Mastercard brand. Rule 5.12.7 states, a merchant must not submit to its acquirer and a customer must not submit to the interchange system any transaction that is illegal or in the sole discretion of the corporation may damage the goodwill of the corporation or reflect negatively on the marks. It goes on. The sale of a product or service, including an image which is potentially or patently offensive and lacks serious artistic values, such as, by way of example and not limitation, images of non-consensual sexual behavior, sexual exploitation of a minor, non-consensual mutilation of a person or body part, and bestiality, or any other material that the corporation deems unacceptable to sell in connection with a mark. So,
I would just like to point out for the people that were like, yeah, fuck them porn games, yeah, gooner games, blah, 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 yeah, good thing that Visa and MasterCard stepped up. I want to point out the part where it says non-consensual mutilation. So that's Mortal Kombat out of the way.
Yep.
That's most video games nowadays that have any kind of violence at all, or even just combat.
Dude, no bad guy signed up for you to chop off his head. Right? Like, that's just, no bad guy signed up for that. They didn't consent to that.
They didn't consent to getting shot in the face, getting their arms blown off. It's like, nope, can't do that. Like, Doom's out of here as well. Can't do Doom anymore.
You
like,
know, in
those
Witcher
demons
3,
didn't consent
where
to
it
the
slows
violence.
down, and then you slice the demons or the monsters in half. The monster never consented to being sliced in half. Just want to say.
Monster Hunter, every time I chop a tail, the monster didn't consent to that. What do you mean? You can,
where's your consent form?
So it's like, so it's like, it basically would take out like 80% of, by the same standards that were enforced to remove
if they wanted to
the
enforce
Gooner games. Yeah.
They could.
The same standards that were used to enforce that can also be used to enforce about 80% of the games on Steam. And and these companies just like blatantly lying and saying like, we didn't do that. We just told other people to do it.
Yeah, that's literally what it is, right? Mastercard just wait, we never told Valve that.
It's
we just
like,
told the banks that work with Valve that.
Imagine just like, somebody shows up dead tomorrow and the police is at your door and they're like, did you kill this person? You're like, no. I just went on the deep web and dropped the Bitcoin and now they're dead. But I didn't do it. Somebody else did it. None of my business.
Yeah, you have to go look for that other person.
It's literally the MasterCard argument right here. They're like, no, we didn't do that. We sent our hitman to do it. It's like, shut the fuck up, bro. What do you mean?
And to be fair, I want to say this because someone...
Absolute corpo behavior, dude.
Someone in the comment section... basically pointed out that I don't know what I'm talking about, even though I wasn't the one bringing up the story last week. Me and Rurikhan were talking about it, right? No, we were both just talking about it, but apparently I don't know what I'm talking about, right? Which is fine, right? Which is absolutely fine. Yeah, well, half the time you're probably
because
not
you're
wrong.
South African, so you just don't know.
But half the time he's probably not even wrong. But we're talking specifically here about Flagellan Salt. Flagellan Salt 2 days ago.
Damn, dude. It's just like fucking naming and shaming.
Let's go.
Get him, Echo.
Not actually,
Get him.
I'm not shaming Flagellan. I'm just... so you guys are often too early on the news topics. You're talking about topics without the full information and therefore perpetuating disinformation. So firstly, no, we're not perpetuating disinformation. When you're covering a topic before all the information comes out, that just means that there's more information to add. Disinformation is purposefully spreading information that is false. And also, if I'm not mistaken, disinformation can only be done by a government or a government-tied entity. I think you're searching for the word misinformation. That is when private citizens are spreading knowingly false information. But just a small little tab there for you. Okay, especially with the Steam bans. Vile Exhumed is using IRL pornographic imagery that can be uncensored. It breaks Steam rules and likely requires a different license payment processing agreement. I like how you say that we're completely getting everything wrong and spreading disinformation, and then you point to one game that we spoke about that we may have been wrong on.
But wait a minute. He didn't. We weren't wrong according to what he said, because he said these images can be uncensored.
Yeah. But according to him, we're wrong.
So what you're saying is that in the game they are censored, like we said.
Yeah.
But you can fuck with the game to uncensor them. Well, that's none of my fucking business. I can go and I can change fucking Mortal Kombat and I can fight as a giant flopping penis.
Yeah.
This doesn't change anything.
No.
What do you mean?
And he ends with saying someone aside from Accolonn needs to do research because he is not reliable. Okay.
Damn.
That's fair enough.
I don't think he likes you.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair enough, mate. Except me and Rurikhan do our own research. Like, we don't just walk into these things like, oh, I'll just trust everything the other guy has to say. Which is why the show is called Mythic Banter and why we so often disagree with each other. Because we research it ourselves and then find we disagree on what we find. But never mind
like,
that.
for instance, I knew nothing about the Mutahar situation, and he's sitting over here going like, well, Mutahar's gone dark, hasn't? And I'm like, you uploaded a video 10 hours ago.
Yeah, right? Because I didn't know about that video yet, right? I just woke up. Yeah, I'm in South Africa, so it uploaded while I was asleep, and, you know, we discussed what is there. That's the whole point. Like, guys, I just want to point out, so Flagland, I'm genuinely not trying to call you out on anything. But you are pretty aggressive in your comments, right? And I want to point this out. We need to cover it at some point. Like, if we cover it on a Thursday and more information comes out on a Saturday, like, what the hell are we supposed to do? Right? Like, we have to choose
it's like, day. It's the thing about buying a new computer. You know how it is? Like, you're buying a new computer and you're like, well, it's a bad time. There's going to be a new GPU coming out in a couple of months. And then new GPU comes out and you're like, well, these ones aren't actually that great. Not to mention there's new processors coming out. So I should probably wait on that. And so you never buy the new computer. That's the point. You never buy it because there's always something better. There's always going to be a better deal. It's like, it's never going to be ideal to buy a computer. It's the same thing as like when it's a developing story, it's never going to be ideal. Because, like, for instance, even the pirate drama software, it's like, it just more every week, new. It's like, you have to cover it at some point. It's that simple.
And I think we have proven ourselves reliable enough to admit when we've covered something that is just obviously fake and false.
That is wrong.
Right? Like, we will absolutely admit to that. But
another thing, it's a good thing that he brought up that game specifically, because that allows me to segue nicely into the next bit. Basically, the person behind that game just said, you know what? It's banned from sale. Fuck it. It's now free on www.vileisbanned.com. She is just giving the game away for free. She's like, yep, fuck them. They're not going to sell my game. I'm going to give it away for free. There you go.
I mean, makes sense to me. I think fundamentally, the argument here, right? And this is why I wanted to bring up Flagland's comment. The argument here, we can make hundreds of arguments about the individual specific games. Some might warrant removal. Some might not. The question we have to ask ourselves is, do we really think that Mastercard should be the arbiter of what is or is not purchasable on...
Which is the point that we were making.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is the point that we're making ultimately.
Yeah, like,
which is the point that I've made on my own video that I've made about this separately, which is like, I'm not like, oh man, I can't believe they took away I don't care.
Yeah.
What I care is why did they take them away? And it's because Visa and Mastercard started throwing their weight around, and they can just do whatever the hell they want. And like I said, it is a slippery ass slope, and they can just get rid of a lot of other things. And here's another one. GOG also stepped in and basically said, well, if you guys are going to be censoring a lot of these types of games, we're going to go ahead and also give away 12 games. And they is it 12 or 13? Because like I see 13 games on here, even though they said it was only 12, but apparently they're giving away 13 games. They're giving away Postal 2, Agony plus Agony Unrated, Leap of Love, Being a Dick, Leap of Faith, House Party, Honey Pop, Lust Theory, Treasures of Nadia, Summer's Gone, Fetish Locator Week 1, Sapphire Safari, and Helping the Hotties. All of these games are apparently free on GOG.
Well, there you go. GOG is using this as an opportunity to get one over on Steam.
Fucking based GOG, dude.
I mean,
wait, they're not free right now. They were free for like 48 hours, so the campaign is probably ended by now.
They got enough people to sign up, which is probably the only point. Again, none of these corporations actually care about you or I. They care about making money, right? And this is why the whole argument for myself and Rurikhan from day one wasn't about individual games, because we can argue individual games till we are blue in the face.
Yeah.
It's about, should a credit card company be the moral arbiter of what we get to play and don't get to play? That's the only conversation.
And the answer is no. The answer is always no.
It should be no.
There's no...
Right?
Yeah.
It should just 100% be no. Like, there should be no discussions about this. But some people, I guess, don't see it that way. Okay, on to the next topic, which is a bit of a shorter one. I just wanted to sort of get this in because, as most of you know, I used to be a WoW content creator, and I used to play
a ton of WoW.
Yeah,
I used to play a ton of World of Warcraft.
I mean, the very first podcast myself and Rurikhan ever had was a WoW podcast.
The Frozen Sodium Throne.
The Frozen Sodium Throne. We were talking about World of Warcraft back then. And it was fun. The issue that both of us ran into is neither of us enjoyed the game anymore. That's the big issue. The game just became less and less fun over time. Now, for me and Rurikhan, the reasons for why we dislike WoW is very, very different. I personally hate the political direction that the game went in. It went way too progressive and woke, in my opinion. For Rurikhan, it has more to do with Mythic Plus and the entire system of Mythic
just
Plus.
Gameplay.
Yeah.
The gameplay and the microtransactions is just like so obnoxious.
But what do you mean? You like Blizzard microtransactions. They do such nice things.
I love the
just
WoW token.
Automatically taking money from you and,
yeah, it was great. Yeah, they just just rob from you. I think that's fine. Yeah. The best part is when they rob from you, their developers admit they robbed you, and then they don't do right by you. That I think is the best. It's the best.
Rurikhan loves Blizzard so much, he has autopay turned on.
Yeah, exactly.
Not by choice, but it is on.
No, they just decided to do it for me. Yes, because they thought it was the right thing to do. They're just like,
I don't love it.
We just feel like Rurikhan likes Diablo 4 so much that he just needs to have this like right now.
Yeah,
let's go. Yep.
So this comes from this post blew up, right? And as you can imagine, the WoW community is having a real one over this. Yeah. By the way, for those of you that don't know, the WoW community is effectively filled with two camps. There's the one camp that plays the game but can't stop complaining about the game. And then there's the other side that plays the game and will absolutely not hear a single negative thing about the game. Even if there might be negative things to say about the game, you're not allowed to mention them because you'll hurt the developers' feelings, and then the developers will no longer make the game. Because apparently that's how that works. Anyways, so this guy writes a post, and he says he's new. He only just started playing WoW for the first time ever. He says, first of all, I still like to praise the game. I really like a lot of it, especially the graphics. I hate these new modern MMORPGs with these ultra-realistic graphics, just awful. I actually agree with him. I think the WoW graphics are probably...
The art style.
It's insane.
Art style's phenomenal.
Yeah. I've never understood people who criticize WoW's art style, because to me, I love like highly
It's
artistic.
one of the best. It's one of the best parts of the game.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
World of Warcraft's art style. Absolutely,
It's so well done, so cartoony, and yet at times can look absolutely majestic. So definitely one of the highlights for me in the game as well. But then, so WoW is definitely my favorite as far as that goes. But the game is too complicated and everything happens too quickly. You are so overwhelmed with systems, functions, tons of different items that as an inexperienced and new player, you just totally lose the desire to deal with these things. And if you do try in the form of guides or you read in forums, you don't even feel like it after the first few lines because the people who apparently write such guides have been playing WoW themselves for 20 years and are throwing around technical terms and knowledge that no new player understands. I just gave up and ignore some of the systems in the game. This has made the game a lot more fun, but I'm afraid of missing something, right? He goes on into a number of other stuff. He complains quite heavily about the insane amount of currencies that World of Warcraft has, where you just have a currency for this vendor, but then a different currency for that vendor, and then this vendor needs this currency, but you actually combine these two currencies in order to get this currency so that you can buy this thing that you can then take to that vendor to buy this thing from that vendor. And all of it, see, and this is what this new player doesn't yet understand, all of it is designed from an engagement-first perspective to keep you playing as long as possible and keep you ticking off those little lists.
In your earlier point, you were saying like, oh, this is so completely overwhelming for a brand new player that it makes them not even want to play the game.
Yeah.
I think we can take the word new from that. Like, because like you can be a veteran, and let me tell you, as somebody who, I mean, I guess I could be considered somewhat of a WoW veteran, even though I don't play it anymore, but like I definitely play the crap out of it during Vanilla, TBC, Wrath of the Lich King, and then I dropped off during Cataclysm, and then I kind of been on and off and whatnot. But like, as a veteran, the just the idea, like if I was to think about it right now, it's like, oh man, I feel like playing World of Warcraft. 9 times out of 10, my brain will go like, how do you feel about setting up your UI though? I'm like, oh, actually, spending like 4 hours looking up the add-ons that I need to have is I'm actually, you know what? I think I'm good. Actually, 4 hours is a bit too much of an investment to jump back into this, and then no, especially when I know for a fact that I'm going to play for like 2 weeks, and then I'm going to be like, it's gone now.
The truth is,
it's gone. So I've wasted my 4 hours plus however many hours I've put into this because it's gone. It's not what it used to be, and it's never going to be what it used to be.
The truth is, WoW is no longer plug and play. When you go play
Classic, it hasn't been like that for years.
Yeah, when you go play Classic, TBC, even Wrath of the Lich King, even Cataclysm, WoW was plug and play. It wasn't hard to get. It was very simple. Leveling took a while, so you would spend so much time getting used to your class, getting used to the hubs, figuring out all of the stuff that works in the game, that doesn't work in the game. Nowadays, you fly through the leveling period, right? It's 1 day, then you're max level. So the leveling isn't even leveling, really. It's basically just like an extra barrier to, I guess, make you feel not too bad about the fact that you just spent 4 hours downloading add-ons, right? And fixing your add-ons so that they actually work. WoW is no longer plug and play. And you can't even approach it as a plug and play game, because all of those systems, if you want to play the game at any sort of reasonable level, you have to understand the systems. You have to know all of the Mythic Plus dungeons, because you go into a Mythic Plus dungeon and you don't know every single mechanic in that dungeon, you're out. They'll kick you immediately. No one will teach you shit, because there's no incentive to teach new players anything. So they'll just get rid of you immediately. You don't know how to play your class? Yeah, you're out, right? We're not going to deal with you because your DPS is too low. World of Warcraft is effectively in this little bubble. It exists in this bubble. And it is impossible to escape from this bubble, but it's also impossible to enter into the bubble. Unless you're inside it and you've been inside it for a long time. And I hate to say this, unless you're absolutely addicted to the game, there is no way that you continue playing WoW.
I wouldn't say that it's impossible to get in there, but I would say that it requires an unreasonable amount of a commitment.
Yeah.
As in, like, if you're playing World of Warcraft, like let's say it's the first time that you're trying to get into World of Warcraft, you're like, oh man, I really want to get in there and do some end game content and all of that.
Yeah.
You're not going to be playing any other game for the next 2 months.
Yeah, I think
And
I
even then, you're going to be so overwhelmed, but like, oh, but I have to figure out how to do this thing. I need to go watch this video, and then I need to go watch this. It's like going to be so overwhelmed that I kind of feel like after week 2, you're going to be like, what the fuck am I doing with my life, dude?
Yeah.
This is absolutely insane.
Dude, consider that most other games are completely plug and play, right? Like you just log in and you start playing. And we're talking about games that are way more intricate than World of Warcraft, right? And they manage to solve these problems because they're not trying to reinvent the wheel every 2 seconds, which is sadly just where World of Warcraft is. It continuously just stays there. And you know what? Speaking of the fathers of Blizzard at the moment, Microsoft. Let's just swiftly move into that topic because everything,
Microsoft not doing so hot.
you know, there's this famous story of a guy that everything he touches turns to gold. Is it called the Midas touch or something like that?
The Midas touch,
Yeah,
yes. King Midas.
Yeah, everything he touches turns to gold. Well, what's the opposite of that? Like everything you touch turn to shit, because that seems to be Phil Spencer and Microsoft. Like everything every company they buy just goes to hell.
I don't agree. I
Yeah?
don't agree, because like what they're doing is they just keep sacrificing people, even though this news is unrelated, but what they're doing is they just sacrifice people to make the line go up. So technically speaking, it's still turning to gold. It's just murdering like a bunch of people along the way.
Yeah.
It's just like, how many people are we allowed to murder in order to make this line go up? And that's how many people we're going to go ahead and we're going to murder until somebody comes along and like stops. Do you remember when you and me, we would talk about like, hell yeah, let's have Microsoft buy Activision Blizzard. This is a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
How fucking wrong were we, dude?
I don't even know. Like, this is the one place.
It was our fault. It was us.
Yeah, but,
it was our fault.
Yeah, but we
It's
were
like, listen,
stuck between a
because
rock
they
and a
bought-
hard place.
It is true. Like we were in a position where it's like, listen, guys, it can't get any worse.
Yeah.
Turns out we were wrong about that too.
Well, I'm not even sure if we were wrong. Because here's the thing, right? The problem was you had basically a choice between 2 bowls of shit. Right? One had a slightly off-center
We thought
smell,
the green bowl,
but it tasted.
we thought the green bowl of shit was gonna taste better though.
Yeah, right. The one had a bit of an off-color smell, but it tasted not too crappy. It still tasted like shit, but not as bad. Then you had the other one that had a very pleasant smell, but it tasted like crap. And you effectively had to choose which bowl are you going with, because it was either Bobby Kotick or Phil Spencer, right? But now the sad part of Microsoft, and this is really actually sad for them, they buy all of these studios, right? They buy Bethesda, they buy Blizzard and Activision, all these companies. The problem is they bought all of these companies like a decade too late. Because all of these companies are in their sunset arc. They're getting ready for retirement now because they're sucking at everything they make. So it's just like, oh well, really bad timing. But to make matters worse for Microsoft here, Microsoft Xbox has barely managed to sell 30 million copies. It's literally not even sold 30 million copies worldwide. The newest Xbox consoles.
Well, it sucks to be them because not selling 30 million copies basically means you're not really competing, which, let's face it, the Xbox hasn't really been competitive. No. But not only that, so there's a lot of angles to this story. So number one is obviously their consoles aren't selling that well. But as they will promptly say, it's like, well, that's not our business model. our business model is Game Pass.
Yeah.
So that's their thing. They just want to sell you subscriptions and all of that. So that means they don't really care that much about the hardware of their console. I believe it's been announced that they are working on another console. At least they're telling you that they're working on another console. Whether that's going to be the case or not. Now, for comparison, because people are going to be like, okay, so Xbox sold 30 million. How much is Sony sold? I mean, I know that the Switch is probably sold somewhere upwards of 150 or something like that. Let me see. Switch sales
Probably a lot.
so far. 153. So see, I wasn't that far off. 153 million units sold on the original Switch. Switch 2, I don't think that data is relevant that much, even though actually I think they say here they've sold almost 6 million already. So it's like didn't it launch in June? It was like in 1 month, they've done like 1/6 the sales of Xbox.
Whoa.
In over like, how many years? 5 years or however long that thing has been?
Yeah.
That is pretty friggin' crazy. But basically, the fact that they've only sold 30 million, on the other hand, Sony has passed 80 million PlayStation 5s.
Yeah.
So it's almost 3 times if
Yeah.
you add like 10 more million. Well, I guess you can't say because 10 million is a very big
it's a
number.
big number,
But you get the idea. It's more than twice as much of Xbox and by a very large margin. Okay, to the point where it's almost 3 times.
I bring this up
Go ahead.
because I bring this up because I think this just further cements what you and I have been saying for a while. And that is that Microsoft, I don't think, is actually interested in the hardware game. They've tried
They're not
to play the hardware game.
Yeah.
They have lost substantially to PlayStation every single time. Now, that doesn't mean that they'll get out of the hardware game. They'll probably still
not
make
every
hardware.
single time.
No, there was
They
one
won
where,
during the 360 era.
but for the most part, I mean, if we go across the history of PlayStation, Microsoft, PlayStation has basically had Microsoft's number every single time. And the thing is, I'm not suggesting that there won't ever be another Xbox console. Because even at 30 million, that's still good money, right? You're still making a bit of cash on that. But
you need a simple box for the people that don't want to buy PCs.
Yeah. But I do think Microsoft is going to get a lot more competitive when it comes to gaming, which they've clearly been stepping up their game. It's clear right now that Xbox Game Pass is the thing for them. It's where they put most of their eggs.
But the problem with that, and this is something that I think that Microsoft is going to be facing fairly soon. The problem with that is that people on Xbox don't really buy video games as much because of Game Pass, because that's what Game Pass trains the user base to do. Yeah. They're just like, yep, I'm gonna... Because like there was even an example that was given recently where a Forza game went to PlayStation and it instantly went to like the top of the chart. Not the very top, but like it hit the top charts, right? And on the other hand, 16 went to Xbox, which by the way was a much newer game than the Forza game. Yeah. And that didn't break through at all. They barely sold any copies at all, which is just like, oh. And what is going to start happening, and this is, I think, where Microsoft's going to start having problems, is going to be developers going to be like, well, basically, I'm only putting the game on Xbox if I get a Game Pass deal, and if I'm interested in getting that Game Pass deal. Yeah. Because according to what a lot of developers have been saying about this, the only reason for you to put a game on Game Pass as a developer is if you don't have that much faith in the game. So like if you think the game's not going to do very well, then you'll put it on Game Pass. You'll get a Game Pass deal.
It's like a super niche game. It's not even that you necessarily think your game is bad. It's just that your game is a little bit more niche. You know, take something like Manor. Yeah. For years, we've been told RTS is dead, right? No one wants to play city builders. So it makes sense that the guy from Manor Lords is like, dude, I'm just going to take the bag, you know, because maybe no one buys the game. And then people end up buying the game by the millions. So you get the bag and the bag. Which is great, right?
So it's It's another situation like, for instance, with Wu Chang that I've played recently.
Mhm.
I don't know how successful it's been, but it definitely deserves people's attention. The biggest issue is, once again, Unreal Engine 5, performance issues, you know,
of
the
course.
whole the usual
At this point,
situation with
it is
that
a feature,
garbage
right?
engine.
At this point,
Yeah, it's
it
just
is a feature.
like UE5 extra feature, bad performance.
Yeah.
You know, just put that in the back of the box.
Because you get
But,
a second gift a couple of months after the game. So the game launches, it's
when you
terrible,
get the performance.
but then you get a patch that fixes it, and it feels almost as if you're getting a new game at that point. So, you know, victories all around.
I see. I can't say much about performance because I still love Monster Hunter Wilds, and that's still having a lot of performance issues. So it's like every time I talk about performance, people are getting, well, what about Monster Hunter Wilds, Rurikhan, huh? What about Monster Hunter Wilds? It's like, I know, guys. Nobody's ever let me forget every single video that I upload about Monster Hunter Wilds. Nobody ever lets me forget that. All right?
No,
it is what it is.
But I want to point something out. This is actually funny because speaking of Microsoft, Eurogamer, which is insane. Eurogamer, in covering the Microsoft sort of layoff situation, right? Because month before last month, June, Microsoft had a bunch of layoffs. So on Eurogamer's website, under coverage, because right at the bottom they have this sort of coverage and comments. You can go between the two. Coverage is just people who's talking about it. Eurogamer has this post by Robert Purchase that ends with the following. So he goes, I hate it so much, they go on this huge buying spree to try and hoover up as much IP as they can. And then he goes, forget Mario. We need more Luigis. Insert Luigi side-eye gif here. So Eurogamer is literally they're literally platforming someone calling for assassinations of CEOs. I don't know about you, but I'm not sure if that qualifies as responsible journalism.
Wait, what article is this? I'm so confused. I've never heard anything about this.
I'll link it to you. I found it literally as we were talking.
Please. What the hell?
There's the archive of it.
Is it archived because it got removed or something? Like, what's going on?
It's just what happens usually over on Kotaku in Action. They archive everything because they know they might remove it or they might change it later on, and so they archive it. But if you scroll down just a little bit, you get coverage, and it's the second comment from Easy2G, Robert Purchase, that says, you know, basically, forget Mario, we need more Luigis. And it's just like, whoa.
But this is a comment, so it's not in the article.
No.
Right?
It's not. It's not. Look at. You have comments, right? That you can click on to see the comments, and then you have coverage.
Mm-hmm.
So this is
okay. What is the cover? What is coverage?
Coverage is how other people in the industry are talking about this, right? The story and how they're talking about the story.
Person?
Who is
Robert Purchase?
I'm not entirely sure. He's twice on here. But you have Eurogamer stuff, for example, you're commenting on this. Victoria Phillips Kennedy, Ed Nightingale, Tom, whatever, Matt Wales. So I just find it interesting, right? That you would even have this comment.
Wait. Okay, wait. This is very, very weird. Like, I Google Robert Purchase, and the first thing that comes up, wait, is this the same person?
I have no idea. I just
Birdie, it is him. So this person supposedly is an associate editor at Eurogamer.
So an associate editor at Eurogamer said,
so he actually works for them.
Yeah, we should assassinate more CEOs. I like when the Luigi stuff happened, I said this, and I'll continue to say it. We enter dangerous territory when we start to think that violence solves problems. Because soon you'll have all sorts of people with all sorts of gripes going, hey, violence solves the problem.
I'm sure there's a lot of people on the internet that don't like you or me. Maybe they go like, "Hey, you know what? Luigi. I think we could solve a couple of problems right here. Fuck those two guys. Let's just, you drop Bitcoin in the deep web and down it is what it is." Well, not a full Bitcoin nowadays because like Bitcoin's probably insane.
Yeah.
No, but
I don't know what Bitcoin is right now. I will just say, guys, Microsoft is crap, right? And Microsoft is a pretty shitty company in the gaming industry at the moment, but they're not Luigi levels of crap. Like, that's not how we solve our problems in modern society. Like, wait a bit, like maybe the world devolves back into like the Middle Ages, in which case, sure, at this point it's violence for everyone. But as of right now, how about we don't do that? How about we do something else instead, like just not support them? That might be a good place to start.
Yeah, it's a good starting point. Yeah, just don't
better than
companies that are doing things you don't like. Yeah. Like let's not just straight up. What if we just murder people? That would solve so many things. We just murder them. It's like, why not?
I mean,
friggin' crazy wild, dude.
But if you're speaking about stuff that wants to make people murder people. The next story kind of gets people close to that. Like every single time you talk about AI, there are people who lose their crap over it, right? Although,
I mean,
sometimes deservedly so.
So what happened here, guys, is I was going through the news before we started the podcast. And there's something like, there's an AI trailer for League of Legends. And I was like, what the hell is this? So I start looking into it. And there is an AI trailer. It was posted on Weibo. And this is an AI trailer for League of Legends Wild Rift. Now, Wild Rift is the mobile version of League of Legends, is my understanding. So this is not the standard League of Legends. But that trailer sure as hell is some good old AI sloppity slop. Like you can smell the AI on pretty much every frame of that trailer. And they did post it on their official channel. Now, since then, they have responded and they've said, this is from the Wild Rift executive producer, David Zhu. He said, "Hey, folks, yesterday we posted a creator-made video."
Who's the creator?
A creator-made video. I was like, wait. Creator-made video? I don't know. Why did you guys post it on the official channel, though? That's strange. Yeah. I don't know. But since I don't know how to get to Weibo and try to locate, did they say in the thing or not? But basically, they posted a video, which was just like a bunch of AI slop. And what he says is, we posted a creator-made video on our official Weibo channel that, frankly, did not hit the mark. When we post content on our official channels, it's on us to maintain a high-quality bar and be clear about where it came from. So they likely weren't clear where the video came from, and now they're just going like, it was a creative video. That one us? No, it was a fan. A fan made that, and he sent it to us. Not to mention that if you actually watch the video, it's like that fan must have had one crazy fucking budget to edit all of that shit together, and God knows how many prompts he made to get the AI to look like that. And because, the thing about AI is when you generate an AI image, like you generate this thing, and you describe it. And then you give it the same prompt and it's going to generate something slightly different. You can kind of see that in the video, but it's actually really close to the point where it's like, this is almost like, but then they just say, thank you for all the feedback. It's like, sure, David. Good old Dave Zhu letting you know what's up. Is like, somebody made it, wasn't us. We didn't do it. We're innocent. We would never use AI to make our trailers. Why would we do that? We're a super successful company.
The thing that really rubs me the wrong way with this is I don't mind AI. I think AI is an amazing tool. I use it literally every single day to do so much of my work.
I've actually cut down. I've cut down on a lot of AI usage for work.
Yeah.
Because I found myself in a situation, like I told you, I used to do it for like titles and stuff like that. And I found myself getting to a point where I was like, holy shit, I can't even think of a title without going and talking to AI anymore.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, stop. That instantly stopped.
So
I haven't done it at all for my latest videos.
I never use it for titles. I do use it for descriptions though. They just make a description based on this script, right? And the reason for it is no one actually reads the description. Right? It's just a bunch of
the
SEO
keywords on
nonsense.
description are important.
Yeah. But that's where
important.
it gets all of the keywords in there, and that's pretty much all I care about. Otherwise, I would have to write all of that crap out, right? And sometimes you do struggle to find a good title, and then I'll be like, here's the title that I have in mind. Can you suggest some alternatives or tell me if you think
that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I've actually just like, no, I can't do that anymore because my brain was already like forming connections to where it's going like, yeah, we should just, go have a conversation with ChatGPT or Gemini about this title. And I'm just like, no, fuck that. The title is what the title is. And I don't care. It's
so
like,
I'm
done.
I think I do it maybe once every 30 or 40 times that I make a video. I might ask it for a title recommendation. The thing I use AI most for is advanced search engine, because I need to find a study that shows the economic, like I had to do this yesterday. I needed a study that shows the economic growth of China from the 90s all the way up until now, right? Now I could Google that, and then I physically have to go through every single paper that may or may not show that, or I just ask ChatGPT. Listen here, can you show me all of the studies that show the economic growth of China from the 90s up until now? And it throws out like 5, 6, 7 studies, and I can go to those and I can look at what I need to see. So I use it a lot.
Gemini actually has it has an interesting new feature that Google is working on, which is deep research.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, they actually, like, it goes through and does like a bunch of searches. I don't know how good it is because I haven't thoroughly tested it yet.
Yeah.
But it gave me the option a couple of times where it just straight up generates like a fucking straight, like almost like a university paper. It's like,
oh
boom,
yeah, that's
here
cool.
it is, everything.
Yeah,
I'm just like, damn. But a lot of times I'm reading through it and I'm just like, this just seems like word salad. So I don't think they fully figured that out.
I don't use AI at all for its opinions. Right? I literally use it for links to sources of which I can then form my own opinion. Because AI can have so many hiccups where it'll say something and then you actually watch the sources that from which it said it. And you go, dude, the sources didn't say any of what you just said. What are you talking about? Like, these sources are not even the same thing. So I try to do that. Or the other thing that I'll sometimes do is when I see a story that sort of pop up here in the news, I'll go to Grok or to ChatGPT and I'll be like, hey, can you give me alternative stories to this? So stories that oppose this one. Are there any stories that basically say that this is fake or false? So I use it to sort of fact check, and then I can look to just get more of a sort of view of what's actually happening. And then my big usage of it, this is recent though. Take a picture of your favorite president or your favorite minister and say, change expression, please. Do something else. And it gives you the funniest expressions that you can use for thumbnails, which I've done. Right? Because sometimes the politicians just look boring and bland and you need them to look sad. So you just make them look sad.
So here's a little bit more added context to the trailer, since we're not going to be showing it in video form.
Yeah.
There was a Reddit user. It was Reddit or X. I don't know if it's Reddit or X, but basically they were saying like, I'm dying laughing from how bad it is. Jinx is using a Glock. Seraphine is kicking like she wants to be Lee Sin. Yasuo is using a lightsaber. Ezreal is using a Glock too. And Jinx uses a flamethrower.
What? Wow. Okay. So yeah, they clearly, I mean, the AI had its limitations, right? It's sad that they do stuff like this. And I as I spoke about this, I realized I have to say one thing. Because there might be people in the comments that immediately go, actually, Echo, why aren't you using literal artists to change the expressions of these people? You're taking food out of the mouth of artists. Dude, artists would take food out of my rent. You don't seem to understand. If you asked an artist, to
Artists
actually
would take food out of your rent. What?
they would basically remove everything, right? It would cost more to pay the artist to make the thumbnail than it would for the video to actually make money. Because if I went to an artist and I said, hey, could you change this expression to sad? They're going to charge me $25, $30, $40, $50, $100, depending on how good the artist is. My videos don't make $100.
I just do it myself.
I'll be losing money.
Good old,
right?
Good old smudge. Like I'll smudge a smile on their face.
The problem is there's limitations to it, but I have done it myself as well in the past.
I'll smudge the forehead like this so that it goes,
yeah,
big bad.
I have done it in the past, but the point I'm trying to make is an artist would bankrupt me, right? It's fine. If you're Mr. Beast
absolutely.
and you're getting 1 million views a video, sure, pay an artist to do it because they'll be able to do it better, right?
But Mr. Beast just made like a fucking AI tool.
But, then you can pay an artist to do it because the artist will do it better than AI can. You can obviously tell, but this is the thing. I also make sure that the pictures are obviously fake and AI, right? I don't try to do it as realistic as possible. But you can't pay an artist as a small-ish YouTuber. There's no way that I can afford to get an artist.
It is pretty much impossible.
Yeah,
yes,
it just cannot work that way.
I've commissioned plenty of things from artists, like some of my what are they called, the emojis that you get?
Yeah.
Damn it, the emotes. I've commissioned my emotes. I've commissioned my channel logo. I've commissioned more recently the Khan's anvil image, which is like an image of my avatar banging on an anvil.
Yeah.
And all of those are very worth it, but also very expensive.
Oh, yeah. Like, you're going to pay. And it makes sense, right? An artist isn't going to spend 2 seconds telling AI, make him sad. They're actually going to have to draw them and make them sad, right? It's a job.
Because I always use the same artist, I also tip the artist.
Yeah. That's a good thing. Okay. If you can afford it, that's definitely a good thing. I don't tip artists because I asked you what's the price and you gave me the price. It should include your tip. If it's not including your tip, it's sort of like the other day. Actually, literally yesterday.
You don't have to. I'm not saying you have to.
I know.
I'm saying I do.
But literally yesterday, I'm going to the coffee shop. I'm ordering coffee, right? As one does. And it's a cappuccino, always almond milk. And they give me the payment to the card machine. And there's like, tip. I'm like, what are you talking about, tip? You're making a coffee. That's your job. Like, I'm not sitting here. I'm not drinking the coffee. I'm not asking you to bring the coffee to me. I'm standing here waiting for you to give me the coffee. I will not tip for this. You're out of your mind. In fact, I've now started to make a habit of this. I will not tip if you ask me for a tip. If your machine, right, even at restaurants now,
so
if your machine says tip before I can actually get to the payment part, I will skip that shit and I'll just scan it.
Let me give you...
I choose, and I always tip a lot,
example.
right? I always tip a lot. I always tip like 30, 40%. But if you force me to tip, you'll get nothing. Because tipping...
Let me give you an example of like where I gave a tip.
Yeah.
And this was really cool. So I call up this sushi place that's near my home.
Yeah.
This is like not like one of those fancy sushi places. They're like a really small space, but they make really
They're
good
the
food.
base.
So
the fancy ones.
Usually those small the mom and pops like type of situation, like the small same people always working there. And so I love going there. It's like it's my favorite sushi place anywhere. It's where I've had the best sushi always. And so I called them up like on my birthday, and I'm like, not on my birthday, like a couple of days ahead, and I was like, hey, so are you guys going to be open this Sunday at around this time? And they're like, no, we're closed. And I was like, oh, I wanted to like, I wanted to bring in like, I forget how many people it was, like 10 people, 12 people, something like that. I wanted to bring in 12 people because it's my birthday. And they're like, let me check with my colleagues. So they weren't going to be open.
Wow.
But she goes like, oh, let me check with my colleagues and I'll get back to you. And so they call me back and they're like, okay, we will open just for you guys. You guys come in and you guys can have you need to give me an idea of what you guys are going to have.
Mm-hmm.
Because, if they have to prepare like food that's not sushi, because they're going to have like a skeleton crew there just for this.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, sure. Yeah. This person's going to have this and all of us are going to have like the usual sushi stuff, blah, blah, blah. So I sort it all out. And then I get there and we have the thing and it's perfect. No issues. And now when I go to pay, even when I go to pay, nobody asked me for a tip. Not a single person. She was just like, oh, here's the prices, how much it was. Boom, 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 boom. And then I gave a tip. I gave like a fatty tip because I'm like, you guys fucking open the restaurant for me. You're getting a fatty tip. Like, fuck that.
But
that's awesome.
Point.
But like, it's because they go above and beyond.
But that's my whole point,
when you
right?
You don't just like go to somebody like, oh, here's your coffee. And then you don't even smile or anything. You're just like, oh, fucking God, I hate my fucking life. It's like, I'm sorry, bro. What do you mean? The way that tipping culture has gotten is absolutely insane.
Dude,
it's crazy.
It's
fucking crazy.
Is literally that. It's a tip based on good service.
Exactly.
I'm saying thank you for the good service that you've provided me. I am not forced to do it. So if you ask me for it, and it's actually a bit scumbag of me here in South Africa because a lot of places here, the waiters only work for tips. They don't even get a salary. But then I get these waiters.
Shit.
I get these waiters that, by the way, the waiters don't want salaries here in South Africa because they make way too much money off tips. And if they were to get salaries, a lot of the business actually go, no, you have to share your tips with everyone. So they're like, no, we're good. We're just going to keep it this way.
How is it, bro? How does the economy work where it's like the customer pays for the product and for the salary?
Like South Africa has a very healthy tipping culture, right? We're not stingy when it comes to tips, but I have gotten stingy when you ask for it. So as soon as you go, you owe me a tip. I go, no, I don't owe you shit. Like, now you will get nothing. Or if I felt like you still did a good job, I'll give you the bare minimum, which is 10%. And you can F right off. I don't care, right? You will give me above and beyond service, and then you'll be grateful for the tip that I give you, which is quite nice because the coffee shop that I usually go to wasn't the one that I was at yesterday, but the one I usually go to, even if I give them like a small tip, right? Because sometimes I just do. I'll give them like $5, which is in South African money, that's like 50 cents for you guys, right? But even if I just give them that, the waiters will always go, oh my, thank you so much. Thank you, I really appreciate it. And then I'm like, man, now I feel bad. I'm going to give you more next time, right? Because you were so grateful for what I gave you. Because I don't have to give this to you. Anyways, that's just me being very upset about the whole tipping nonsense and everyone now asking for tips. Even when they get salaries. And the only thing you did was type into the little computer, cappuccino. Now you want a tip because you typed into the little computer. I can do this myself. I can self-service this bullshit. I don't need you. Why are you charging?
I can make my own cappuccino, God damn it.
I'll make this. I worked in a coffee shop. I actually have training as a barista. So I can do this.
Are you an engineer?
I'm a coffee engineer.
Are you a cappuccino engineer, Accolonn?
As a cappuccino engineer, I can do this myself. It grinds my gears, dude. So annoying. But yeah, the AI thing, to bring it back to the AI that we've been talking about, I find the whole AI thing just absolutely disgusting. The fact that Riot, I don't believe they're nonsense, because I do think it's just absolute cope. And they're hoping that
it was a creator-made video. We just didn't make it clear where it came from.
That is absolute nonsense, in my opinion. But, the next story, not going to spend too much time on it, because I honestly don't know that much about this.
Also, real quick, David Zeus, the executive producer of Wild Rift.
Oh, yeah?
His X handle is Papa Smoothie.
Ooh. Oh, yeah, makes sense. Makes sense, Papa Smoothie. He sounds like a
Papa
scumbag.
Smoothie. I just thought that was a very relevant piece of information you all needed to know.
Hey, it works. It works. The next story, I'll be the first to admit, I don't know much about this. I saw it pop up all over my Reddit. I try to read about it as much as possible, but I don't know anything about Stormgate, right? I saw the game. It looked kind of interesting at first. And then the more they showed of it, the more soulless it looked. Like, it just didn't look like something. It didn't have that charm that StarCraft had. Right?
StarCraft had.
Yeah. It just looked like almost, I hate to say it, it looked like an AI generated version of StarCraft. Like someone told AI.
No, that's maybe a bit much now.
I'm talking specifically the artwork here. And I'm not suggesting that they did use AI. I'm more suggesting it looked like someone was trying to imitate StarCraft, but they've never played StarCraft. So they just sort of think this is what it should look like.
But it's made by the people that made StarCraft.
But they made all the wrong decisions because the game just lacks soul. I don't know how to put it any other way. It's not succinct. It doesn't even make sense to most people, I'm sure. But the game never convinced me that I want to play this. Ever. I never looked at this and thought, wow, this is going to be so good. But anyways, as it turns out, they may actually have been scamming just straight up all of their players.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. But there's a Steam post on this where one of the guys here makes it clear he was a beta tester of SG during multiple beta test phases and spent a lot of time gathering feedback. I knew everything about the game until I lost the interest and moved on. And then he says, I'll address the main problem. The game has failed. Servers will shut down soon and no money will be refunded. The budget is $43 million. $2.38 million is from Kickstarter. $1.2 million is from Start Engine. The rest, the $40 million, is big companies' investment money, and FG has to pay it back at some point. This is Frost Giant. In 2024, FG made $944,000 and spent $15 million on development.
By the way,
yeah,
it's just important to mention that, like, the stuff about the game shutting down, this is something that a player, but beta test or whatever, is saying.
Yeah.
There's no official confirmation on whether or not it is going to shut down or whatever.
Yeah, this guy is claiming that it will shut down because the game has just made none of its money back, right?
It might.
Yeah,
but yeah.
They think so. What he is sort of highlighting, I think, in this, right, is that the entire game is online. Like 100% online. You can spend up to $100 in this game because they did a lot of finagling with euros and stuff where they promised that all of the euros in early access would be free for everyone. Then the game launched and all of the euros weren't free. And now it even turns out that the new euros that they added will not be free. You'll have to actually pay for all of it. So there are people who have spent a lot of money on this game. And if this game were to go offline, if it fails, you'll lose access to everything, including the single player content, because even that is online only. You have to be online to do the single player campaign stuff. So that's sort of there's a lot more where they just sort of highlight some of the false statements that was made on the game, where they originally said that everything is funded through Kickstarter and that it's just the backers on Kickstarter. Now we find out that actually this has nothing to do with it. Kickstarter was a tiny little bit of their full thing. Oh, they changed the story. Sorry. First they said it was only Kickstarter. Then they said, no, actually, we funded the whole game ourselves. Kickstarter is just for marketing. And now it turns out, actually, the money that they funded themselves is also borrowed from other places. So that will have to be paid back, and the game isn't actually making any money. So that's sort of all over the place. Again, just crazy how all of this works out. The game apparently...
It's time to see how Dreamhaven's going to help them out, because I think that some of that funding probably came from Dreamhaven.
Yeah,
it's time to see what's going to happen. Is Mike Morhaime just going to eat that blow, or what's the situation going to be?
Did it though? Because as far as I remember, Frost Giant broke away from
don't
Dreamhaven.
They have?
They were originally launching under Dreamhaven, but I think they broke away from Dreamhaven. You can just look on Steam.
Let me just see. There's no mention of Dreamhaven on their website masthead. They say Frost Giant, Steam, Unreal Engine, Athora, and Pragma.
Yeah, no, I think
Maybe
they broke
they're doing
away.
it themselves.
Yeah, they broke away from
never mind.
Dreamhaven.
I was wrong.
Yeah.
See, that's how you do it, Pirate Software.
Yeah. So, and then
wait a minute.
here's the.
I would admit I was wrong if I wasn't 100% correct. No, you're wrong, Accolonn. Everything you said is just wrong, and I'm right.
But then Frost Giants, they actually broke Steam TOS as well, because they decided in the description of their game to advertise a VPN. Just in the description on Steam, go, hey, by the way,
is that
use code?
Is that online right now?
I think they removed it because it's against Steam TOS, but they have a link here to it.
That is crazy, bro. What?
Yeah, the link's blocked. Can't get to the link. But this is according to this post at least. And some people in the comments say that they did see the advertising for the VPN, but then FG made a bunch of fake reviews.
Oh no! Wait, Accolonn.
Yeah?
Oh my god.
What?
Okay. So I went to the description of this game. Remember that you were saying something a while ago where I was saying, that's harsh.
Yeah.
You want to say that again?
It's AI made.
This game So here's what it says at the bottom of their description. AI-generated content disclosure. The developers describe how their game uses AI-generated content like this. Some AI tools were used to help with early ideation in the development process. AI tools were also used to assist in up-resing our portraits and adding facial animations. Final assets were all painted by artists. We have not replaced any developers with AI and believe that talented people lie at the heart of exciting games.
Yeah, I'm sure AI had more to do with what they stated. But
listen, I just want to point out, you have no idea what you're talking about, Accolonn, when you say these things.
But anyways, right, now that I've been vindicated.
Fucking ruined, dude. What the fuck?
But okay, so FG, as if everything isn't already so bad for this company. Their game isn't doing well. They're lying. They're putting VPN advertisements in their descriptions. Like, what the hell are you doing, bro?
God.
You're not a YouTube content creator. You don't get to just use code for 10% off bullshit on your game description. That's not how that works. But anyways, they then go and say, hey, you know what? People are very unhappy with our game. We know. Let's get all of our developers to make Steam accounts and just leave fake reviews of the game on Steam, just using our own accounts as well as fake accounts. The community catches them out, right? Figures out that, hey, you guys work for this company. They change their names, make more reviews, and the community again goes, wait, don't you work for the studio? Then the company goes, actually, guys, this was the developers acting on their own accord. We as the company had nothing to do with this.
Threw them under the bus.
Yeah, we're
That's just
completely innocent.
In a completely unprecedented move.
Yeah.
A publisher sacrificed their developers. We never see this one.
Yeah, no.
It's a new one.
The developers did this.
It's a new strategy.
Except when it turns out that the community director himself changed his name on Steam to Fluffy and left a bunch of Steam reviews. So clearly, it wasn't just the developers. It was also the community director that did this.
Fluffy, you say?
Yeah, Fluffy. That's what they called themselves. Okay. It just, man. That's the story. I don't see Stormgate going anywhere. I don't think it's going to survive for much longer. I think this is just where we are at the moment. And it really is just like, at this point, some of these studios just deserve to go the way of the dodo bird. I don't. It should not be this way, but at some point, you just have to admit, some of you guys don't deserve to be around. Speaking of people who don't deserve to be around, let's talk about IGN. So, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that don't know, there are currently, according to insider reports from the gaming industry, People like Jason Schreier have said this. A bunch of other journalists have said this. There's less than 40%, 40 people currently still working in the video game industry, media landscape, so journalists and the like. Well, as it turns out, IGN has just been hit by layoffs. And this is because Ziff Davis, the company that owns a bunch of media outlets, they're cutting costs. And they're specifically cutting 8 people from IGN, which is quite insane, considering the fact that there's about 40 people left working in the video game media landscape. The fact is that, according to Ziff Davis, and this is their response to this, their comment, the company has told us that the reason for this layoff stems from a Ziff Davis mandate to cut costs despite several quarters in a row of year-over-year revenue increases. Notice that they don't say profit increases; they say revenue increases. So it kind of would make sense because things are getting more and more expensive. Advertising is getting more and more expensive. That does not mean that profits are getting better and better and better. To which IGN responded by coming for our members' jobs, the guild says. This is perplexing to us, as we are told again and again that IGN Entertainment has had a tremendously successful year thus far, thanks to their hard work. I personally don't think that that's true. My personal opinion is that IGN and pretty much all of the games media are going to continue suffering like this until they realign themselves with gamers. Because I think that is the biggest problem with companies like IGN at the moment. These media organizations are no longer aligned with the ordinary gamer. And until that changes, you'll see more and more people lose their jobs. You'll likely see more and more of these media outlets close down. As, and not all of them will go away. You'll probably eventually end up with one, right? That basically gets all of the traffic because it's the only one that still survives. Maybe 2, if you're lucky. Do you have anything that you want to add to this, or?
I was trying to do something, which is I was going to ask really quickly to the 3 AIs whether or not this was truthful, that the reason as to why IGN is firing these people, but I wasn't able to get it done. I fucked it up. So
all right.
I don't have anything to add. I just wanted to hear Grok, Gemini, and ChatGPT say, actually, nah, they're lying. It's not true.
Yeah. I personally, as I said, right, because as a media personality, it's the same with YouTubers. As a YouTuber, you have to align with your audience. That's why they're watching you, right? If you don't align with them, and by the way, this is not an argument to say you must cater what you do to your audience.
Yeah.
Right? But if what you do breaks from what your audience wants, they'll stop watching.
The idea I don't think you're conveying the right idea. The idea is you have to do what's in the best by aligning with your audience. What that means is you have to do what's in the best interest of you and your audience.
Yeah.
So you need to share, and this doesn't mean agreeing with them.
No.
This means doing what you feel is going to benefit you and the audience the most.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to
let me put it this way, using an example, right? If you are a gaming media channel, right? So you make YouTube videos about gaming news. And you hold yourself to the standard of you just give the news, the facts as it is. That's what media is. By the way, YouTube isn't that. YouTube is opinions and facts. But you say, I'm just doing the facts, right? Giving you the facts. I don't take sides. I'm completely unbiased. You're going to align with a specific audience doing that. People who just want the facts. They don't care about the opinion. If you then suddenly, right, start shifting into the realm of opinion, so you start adding some of your opinions on top of that content, you are automatically going to alienate a certain portion of your community, right? Because their opinions will not align with your opinions. They'll not interpret the facts the way that you do. Now, that's not wrong, right? That's just how it is. That's how all YouTube channels work. I am truthful in how I interpret the information that I read, but that does not mean that you interpret the information exactly the same way, right? And so our audiences are going to align differently with our content, and we're going to attract different audiences. But now, if I stopped covering gaming news and started talking about furniture instead, I've now completely alienated my audience, right? Because the audience that I used to have that came for gaming news, they don't care about furniture news, and so they're not sticking around, they're leaving. I use this sort of blown out example to say that this is kind of what the media became. They still cover games, but they now do so not for gamers, but more often than not, they're attacking gamers, which means they're alienating their very audience. They're telling their audience, we don't want you. In fact, famously, there's articles that's been written that say it's the end of gamers. Gamers no longer matter. Gaming companies shouldn't be making games for gamers. It's like, well, the hell are you talking about? You do know that the people reading your articles are gamers, right? Like,
Are gamers.
yeah, this seems like a very bold strategy. I hope the housewives show up to read your articles about video games now that the gamers are no longer important. But yeah, so that's where IGN and those companies are right now. They've alienated their audience. And I think a large part of gamers, there's obviously a large part of gamers that are conservative, that don't like the woke stuff. But then I think there's also a large part of gamers who they don't necessarily mind the woke stuff. They just don't care about the politics at all. So when they see IGN go full blown attacking Trump or simping for Biden or simping for Kamala, they just go, man, I don't care about any of this shit. I just want to play video games. I don't care about your political nonsense. Just give me the news. I just want to know what's happening in Mario. I don't care about any of this other stuff. And that, I think, is the real problem. Most of these media outlets have become opinion pieces, and their opinions are not held by the vast majority of gamers who just want to play video games. And so layoffs will just continue because, well, you're losing your audience consistently. Then talking about the media getting things wrong. This story I really just want to cover because it sort of highlights just how insane sometimes some stories can be. So, Alinea Analytics, which is a company that sometimes does breakdowns for games. Some people took a research that Alinea Analytics did on some of the games for PlayStation 5. And some people started to say, oh, it looks like Death Stranding 2 is completely flopped and failed because in its first week, it only managed to sell 687,000 copies. That was back in June. And it seems like the game now sits at around 850,000 copies sold, which people are going, clearly just completely failed, right? There's nothing else to this. I would like to point out, like even in this article, they say that the sales have come in below other PlayStation Studio titles, but still, it's one of those franchises that has a long tail. It will continue to sell well over time. The problem is that most people aren't running with that second part, right? Where Death Stranding does have a super long tail, and even if you go by Death Stranding 1, Death Stranding 1 only really exploded once it hit PC. That was when the game took off. And became
a lot of people jumped in when it was on PC. It makes sense because it's more of PC gets more of your builders and your games that require more strategy and and stuff like that. Which obviously Death Stranding does have a considerable amount of that and how you optimize the way that the character moves and all of that stuff. I still think that a lot of people played it on console. I don't have the actual numbers.
No, obviously.
But I do agree that there was like a second coming of it when it hit PC. A lot more people also started playing it then.
Yeah. I would.
And it kind of, I think that also triggered a resurgence of people giving it a shot on consoles as well.
I think the thing is, right, I think a lot of people played it on console, that's true. I think a lot of people played it on PC. I think the big thing that people don't seem to keep in mind when it comes to something like Death Stranding is it's not really a must-play game. Or rather, I should say,
It
it's
isn't.
not a must-play now game, right? It's more of those, when you have time off, you're maybe on break, maybe on holiday, and now you want to get stuck in for a week and just play Death Stranding. That's when you get it.
I kind of feel like we have been for several years. We've been on this culture where it's like everything needs to happen right fucking now,
Yeah.
and if it doesn't succeed this second, then it absolutely blows chunks, and it's a terrible video game.
Yeah.
And it's always about the numbers. It's all about, oh, I can't believe this. Look at this game. It only has like this amount of concurrence, and now it's dead and blah blah. And it's like, while these are indicators,
Yep.
like there's a lot of more room for a lot of these games to grow. And this even includes Veilguard. Veilguard might pop off. I doubt it. But it might pop off a couple of years from now. You never know. You never know.
I mean, the sky could also fall down. It's possible.
You don't know, man. You don't fucking know. But like some of these games pop off a little bit later, like was the case of Death Stranding. I don't know how Death Stranding 2 is looking like right now. I haven't really been following it because I don't want to get spoiled when I also play it, because I don't have time to play it right now. Yeah, that's the thing. So to me, the amount of copies, I don't necessarily think that it's a flop, but you know, whatever.
I personally, I think maybe financially, but again, as I said, I think it's going to be you're really going to see it pop once it hits PC. Since Death Stranding 1, PC has become a juggernaut in the gaming space, and as I said, it's not really a must-play immediately kind of game, right? It's not your Elden Rings, Night Rain, stuff like that. It is a game that sort of you can play whenever you're ready, you know? And so a lot of people that may have opted into buying the first one on console because, hey, it's Hideo Kojima, they're now more than happy to go, I'll play it when it hits PC. You know, I'm not, I'll rather buy something else now and then buy this when it hits PC. Yeah, I just feel like a lot of people sort of blow things out of the water when it's probably a little too early to it because it's not as if it completely failed, right? This is a console only release. And even this article, I think, is July 9th.
And not to mention that it's a console only release during a cycle wherein a lot of people, I feel, are transitioning to PC. I think that there's a lot of people transitioning to PC right now. And I think one of the things that definitely shows that is the fact that Monster Hunter Wilds, more than 50% of its sales were on PC. Yeah. Which is also one of the reasons why performance is such a big topic. Yeah. But, you know, more than 50% of the sales of Monster Hunter, which, by the way, was pretty much a console exclusive title for the longest time. To give you guys an idea, you still can't officially, unless you emulate, you still can't officially play Monster Hunter 1, Monster Hunter DOS, Monster Hunter the Tri, Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, Monster Hunter Portable Third, Monster Hunter 4 and 4 Ultimate, and even Generations Ultimate. You can't play any of these games on PC. So this is traditionally very much console-focused franchise. And then when it finally started PC day and date, they're like, oh, okay, more than 50% was sold on PC. I think that is like one of the signals that there's just way more people getting into PC gaming now than ever before. And so therefore, I agree with you that there's a lot of people that say, I'll just play it when it gets on PC. Yeah. I'll just play it when it gets on PC. And that there's just not as many people doing console stuff, just console stuff.
And there's another thing they say I just don't use PlayStation, so I don't know what this means. You might be able to tell me. It also generated the most premium game revenues on PlayStation in June. What does that mean?
Premium game revenues?
Yeah.
Premium game revenue. I'm assuming that what they mean by that is like sales? Because like premium doesn't really say much unless it's maybe like some type of discount from PS Plus, but I don't think so. They just call that PlayStation Plus. PlayStation Plus discount revenue or something.
I have no idea.
I don't even, because I'm pretty sure, unless it's included with PlayStation Premium. Let me see.
I have no idea.
That's
if it is included in PlayStation Premium, that would be a huge indicator of why it didn't sell as well, right? Because people won't buy it unless, you know, Yeah.
No, there's nothing here about PlayStation because PlayStation doesn't release their games on like their subscription service.
Yeah.
So no, I don't know what they mean by premium. Maybe they just mean like, regular game sales or something like that. It's called a premium game because it's not a freemium game. I don't know.
Maybe
I don't know what type of wording they're
I have
using.
no idea, but that's just the wording that they use here. Again, I think I agree with you, right? I think thanks to how PC is, and then let's not discount or exclude the fact that games have become super expensive. Most people no longer have...
How much is Death Stranding even?
I think it was 80, if I remember correctly. Might be no, I think it was 80. That's a lot of money for people.
It's 80. I mean, it's 80 bones on Europe, which usually translates to 70 in the US.
I would say even 70 is a lot of money, dude. Like people nowadays were almost brainwashed into going, and I see it often from these articles that will go, everyone thought, this game is going to be so expensive, but it's just $70. And it's like, not just, that's already $10 more than what games cost. Like, what are you talking about? But it's already an increase, right?
I was correct. It is $70 on in the US. So it's like, usually in Europe, we get shit like 10 more expensive and in euros, which is also a more powerful currency. So it's like, oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah. I think even at $70, that's a lot of money. And I think
it is.
More and more people, more and more players have learned the power of Steam sale.
Yep.
And especially now that you're charging $70, $80 a game, it's like, I can wait, bro. I can buy 3 games for the price of that.
And there's also another thing, which is 2025 has been incredibly competitive in terms of video games.
Yeah.
Like I told you, when Death Stranding 2 came out, I was like, I can't even afford to play it right now because I have so much other content to keep up with that it's just too much.
No, I think we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens when this comes to PC. And take it from there. Is what it is, right?
Yep.
Finally, to end the day, you have some...
It's the Rurikhan moment!
Yeah! Rurikhan has some stuff he wants to tell us, guys.
So, number 1, I finished Wu Chang on Monday, which I didn't even put on here. I finished it. It's actually really, really good.
Okay.
Like, the amount of content that you are getting for $50, I was just like, this is crazy. There's so much content. There's a ton of replayability because there's a lot of stuff that changes depending on the choices that you make throughout the game as well.
Wow. Okay.
To the point where you can miss out on entire like chapters and areas and boss fights. Even with a little bit of guidance from chat, I ended up missing out on one boss because I answered something a little bit too fast. There's like, no, you missed out on the Demon of Obsession. I was like, well, that's too bad. I'm just not going to do that one. Sorry. It is what it is.
Oh, crap.
But I cleared everything. And a really cool thing that they've done in that game is also free respecs all the time. Mm-hmm. It's fantastic. It's just like, I just feel like completely changing my build. Cool. And you know how in a lot of these games, you have to use like a material to upgrade your weapon, like in Elden Ring. You have to use the shards to upgrade your weapon and shit like that. In this game, all of those upgrades are in the skill tree.
Oh, nice.
So, for instance, I've been going super deep into one-handed swords. That means literally any one-handed sword you pick up is already at +5 or +6 or +7. You don't have to like, do I want to use this or something? No, you just equip it and it's good to go. And then it's like, actually, I don't like one-handed swords anymore. Then you just like reset the tree. It's like, now I'm two-handed axes and boom. And all the two-handed axes become +5 or +6 or whatever upgrade level you were at. And it's like, it's all sorted. And I was just like, bro, every game should do this so that I can just change whenever I want. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It was really, really good. Had an absolute blast. There were a couple of bosses I didn't like because, you're never going to like every single boss. It is what it is. Yeah. But for the most part, I had a phenomenal experience. Highly recommend. Really, really good game at 50 bones. Biggest caveat, performance, UE5. You know the drill.
Yep.
So if it runs on your system, highly recommend. And if you can't get it, just make sure that you're within that 2-hour window on Steam. Refund that bitch. It is what it is. Come back later when they fix it.
Yeah.
But I have heard from people that had performance issues that they've done like 3 or 4 patches since the game came out, and that those greatly alleviated the problem. So maybe it's good now for people. I don't know.
Yeah.
Now, another one There was a Nintendo Direct this week.
Okay.
In case you missed, what was it this week or was it last week? I forget. It might have been last week. I don't know. The point is, there was Nintendo Direct. Not that long ago. Monster Hunter Stories 3 was announced.
Okay.
Monster Hunter Stories 3, which, by the way, it's like if you imagine that Game Freak would actually put literally any effort at all into their video games, they still wouldn't make Monster Hunter Stories 3, because Monster Hunter Stories 3 has way more effort and way more creativity. And well, I'm saying Monster Hunter Stories, not Stories 3. Stories 3 I haven't played it yet. It was just announced. But like the Monster Hunter Stories franchise just has a lot of effort, creativity, and a lot of like really cool game systems behind it. It's a really, really fun game. Really love playing Monster Hunter Stories 2. And so 3 getting announced already was really, really good.
Okay.
And I say already because it almost seemed like, man, I feel like I just played 2 not that long ago. And let me just inform you, we are all just slowly marching towards crumbling into dust, because it was 4 years ago that I played Monster Hunter Stories 2. Came out in 2021. I was like, what the fuck? It's crazy.
Dude, I don't even know what Monster Hunter Stories is, to be fair.
It's so instead of you hunting monsters, you are getting them like Pokemon, and they fight alongside you.
Oh.
So like you choose your favorite monster, and he's like your buddy, and you can ride them, and if he can fly, you can fly on him, and then he comes in and he fights with you alongside when you're fighting other monsters.
Oh, okay.
And then you can kind of like get eggs and stuff. You go like to nests and steal their eggs, and then they hatch and they become different monsters as well. But it's kind of like a twist on the Pokemon game, except it's using Monster Hunter monsters.
Okay.
And it's way better, because they actually put an effort. There's actual animations to it instead of like, my Pikachu's gonna do lightning attack. Here's the animation. He did it. Yay. And now my Pikachu's gonna dodge. He did it. It's like, this is the animation level on a Pokemon game. For those of you that are just listening to the audio version, I just did like 2 hops. Those are the level of animations.
Yeah.
Whereas in here, like if you see an animation in Stories, like you actually see the monster come in and he's just fucking flying. There's a whole goddamn cinematic as the monster's flying and dropping bombs and shooting his laser breath or something. Like there's actual animations, which is insane. I know. It's fucking revolutionary. In
2025?
it's really, really
good. No way,
good.
bro. That's like 2100.
Yeah, dude. No. It's like, listen, if
we don't
Game
even have
Freak
that
and
technology.
Nintendo, if Game Freak and Nintendo gave a shit about Pokemon, it would be like 1/10 of what Monster Hunter Stories is. Okay, just to give you guys an idea of what you can expect. But yeah, so that's Monster Hunter Stories 3. It was announced, and it looks like this time. For Monster Hunter Stories 1, our character was a kid. For Monster Hunter Stories 2, our character was a teenager. And for Monster Hunter Stories 3, our character is going to be a young adult. Okay. So even in Pokemon, they're always kids. And in Story, it's like, no, your character's an adult now. He grew up. It's a different character, but you get the point.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it'll be interesting to explore some of the themes that they're going with, which are like 2 warring kingdoms, and the monsters are going to come in the middle of that.
Okay.
Seems really interesting. Yeah. And then another game that got announced, Darksiders 4. Are you a Darksiders fan?
Not really. I played Darksiders 3 a little. I was like, meh.
Well, that's the wrong one. You have to play Darksiders 1 and 2. Those are the good ones.
I don't know about 3
those. I haven't played 3 yet, so I can't say. But like, this is an action adventure game, kind of like Metroidvania with action combat, all of that stuff.
I have Darksiders 1. And I have 3. I don't know.
You should play that. It's 1 is really good.
Okay.
But yeah, you have the 4 Riders of the Apocalypse, which is War, Death, Strife, and I forget what was the other one. No, it's not. It's not Pestilence. It's something else.
Oh, one of them is.
Is it Pestilence? No, I mean but that's the official. But not in the game. They're different. It's War, Death, Strife, and then there's one more that I forget the name, which I think is the one on the third one. But so they're making a 4th, and I was just watching the trailer before this podcast so that I could understand what's going on. And this game is being made by the team that made my game of the year 2023, Remnant 2.
Oh, yeah.
So Gunfire Games is working on this game. And the trailer basically shows the first one, which is War. And, there's like some ominous voice saying, do you really want to do this alone? And he says, no, never alone. And all the other 3 riders come in behind him, which tells me it's likely going to be co-op. So it's going to be co-op. It's going to be made by Gunfire Games, which made the phenomenal Remnant 2. So I am hype as fuck for this game. This game's going to be absolute banger. Fans are butts.
I am very lukewarm on Darksiders 4, just so that everyone knows. I am not sharing Rurikhan's incredible levels of hype. Woo!
It's okay. It's okay. Go play Darksiders 1 and then you'll understand. You played God of War, right? Did you like God of War?
Right.
The 2018 version or whatever?
I like the earlier ones way more. Like back in the day where the cameras were
the actual
way more than the newest one. Or not the newest one,
that might actually be a good thing. You might even like Darksiders 1 more than I would definitely recommend check out Darksiders 1.
I'll check it out
1.
because
I
love
the War Master
the first God of Wars. The only reason I stopped playing is because after PlayStation 2 I never upgraded to 3. So whatever came after that I could never play because didn't have PlayStation 3.
Yeah, but friggin' Darksiders absolutely. I've always liked it. I like 2. I know that some people are lukewarm on 2. I love 2. I thought 2 was a ton of fun as well. You play as Death.
Oh,
it's really cool.
Okay, I'll check it out definitely.
But yeah, that's the end of the Rurikhan moment.
All right,
and I just realized it's been a really light week, so let's just put on a light show like 2 hours 40 minutes.
This is the interesting thing. Before we start this, I look at our topic list and I go, I wonder if we're going to make an hour and a half. 2 hours and 40 minutes later.
And then I'm just sitting here and I'm going I need to go work out still. God damn it. Wrap this up, Accolonn. I want to go work out.
hey, we got to give the people what they want. And the people want the Mythic Banter. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much to each and every one of you for hanging out with us, for spending your time with us. If you enjoyed our episode today, please consider hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button, and smashing that bell because it does help out a ton. Then, of course, to everyone that wants to support this channel and want to get 24-hour early access to all of the videos, just simply click the join button below this video. Rurikhan, thank you so much for joining us. And to everyone at home, be good to each other, be kind to each other, and we will see all of you in the next one. Peace.